On a day when we celebrate Olympic gold for Canada, we welcome you to the Canadian Women's Curling Championship in London, Ontario. It's been a quarter century for the Scot, and a worthy field of Canada's top women's curlers have gathered in London, Ontario. Veterans and rookies, champions and contenders, all trying to make the 25th Scot title their own. Last year, Manitoba's Jennifer Jones became an instant legend. Not only did she become the Canadian champion, but she did it with one of the event's greatest shots, and she's back as Team Canada. Colleen Jones knows all about winning. The 6-time champion won the first ever Scot title and is making her record 20th Scot appearance. Who's keeping up with the Joneses? How about Alberta's Kathy King? The 98 champion is back for a 7th time. Looking for a first-time champion? Look no further than a couple of young stars, PEI Suzanne Goody or Kelly Scott from BC, motivated after falling just short of her Olympic dream. The Hearts are back and up for grabs, the 25th anniversary edition, and it starts now on TSN. She's been here before, 1999. Colleen Jones began a wonderful run of 5 wins in 6 years as Scot Tournament of Hearts champion, and she has her eye on the prize again. She was curling's Snow White in 1998, Kathy King, but she suffered a 7-year curse. Now she's back. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to curl we go. On a day when the country is still buzzing about Brad Gushue's gold medal and celebrating the bronze medal of Shannon Clybrink, we welcome you to London, Ontario, and the John Labatt Centre in TSN's opening day coverage of this year's Scot Tournament of Hearts. And this beautiful building has been very busy in the past year alone. We were here for the Canadian Figure Skating Championships last January, and then in May it hosted the Memorial Cup, and now has the honor of hosting the 25th anniversary of the Scot, believed to be the longest sponsorship of any sporting event in the history of our country. When you look at this field, well, there is the familiar and the not so familiar, but it is 2 very familiar teams we're going to watch in the opening draw as we say hello again to Linda Moore and Ray Turnbull.
Well, you know, Ray, it's an amazing day, 25th anniversary of the Scot Tournament of Hearts, but I know I had a tear in my eye and a lot of pride in my heart about those Canadian curlers in Italy.
Oh, it was just fantastic. Of course, Brad winning the gold medal is just unbelievable. It was such great shot making through that entire game. And I was really, really proud of Shannon and the team. They had some tough times with illness, etc., but Shannon hung in all week, and she was fantastic herself, Linda.
And we have a great field here, and we're really looking forward to talking about all the players. First of all, the favorites, and we have to talk about the defending champs, Ray.
Well, she made the shot of the century, that last shot of hers to win the Scot last year, and she's a little disappointed, obviously, at her performance at the Worlds and at the Olympic trials, but Jennifer Jones can play. But boy, I tell you, Colleen Jones is back for the 20th time. Can you believe it?
And Kathy King, also a former champ. We look for those 3 teams to play very well. But now you have to talk about the teams that have been close. And who has been closer than Kelly? 3rd place last year. She's been terrific. And of course, we have 2 other teams with some really good experience.
Well, you know, we know that Suzanne Goody has been there before. She's got the experience. What Suzanne will show up, we're not sure, because she's been inconsistent in the past. Janet Harvey's been the hottest team in the country in the last month or so, so she's going to be tough to beat.
Now we also look for some experience on the team. This can make a huge difference. And when we talk about the teams like Ontario, Krista Scharf, like Tracy Streifel from Saskatchewan, we do see that they've had a tough run or had some experience. And now Andrea Kelly, former junior champ, but that Saskatchewan province is so tough, Ray.
It is tough with teams like Anderson and the Lautens and Betker. I mean, to get out of Saskatchewan, obviously this team can play. We don't know a lot about them. When you talk about Scharf, she's got at lead Lorraine Lang, and I'll tell you, Lorraine's been there before. We watched her win the World Championship in '89 in Milwaukee, so a lot of experience.
And that's why Ontario is on this board where you have some experience. Also, Heather Strong's 6th appearance, and Carrie Cooey out of the Territories making her 3rd. What a great lineup as we start our first day of Scot coverage.
And the phones are already busy because this is the Sandra Schmirler Foundation Telethon Day. We'll tell you about that when we come back to London.
The 2006 Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN is brought to you by Scott Paper Limited, proud sponsor of women's curling for 25 years. The 2006 Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN is brought to you in part by Tim Hortons Chicken Noodle Soup and Turkey Bacon Club Combo, by Strauss, and by Ford, built for life in Canada.
Every year on the opening day of the Scott Tournament of Hearts, it is Telethon Day for the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, in honor of the three-time Canadian and three-time world champion. Her foundation for many years has been in support of babies in crisis and neonatal centers in hospitals right across this country. Now, we're urging that you phone today. Phone the number at the bottom of your screen in support of the foundation and support of neonatal centers. You'll be able to speak to one of the 40 people here taking your phone calls, including Team Canada and Jennifer Jones. And if you're from a particular club in our country, we want you to tell us the name of your club. We want to get a club challenge going. Let us know your club. Make a donation here on Sandra Schmirler Telethon Day at the Scott. She's a former champion going against a champion. It's Jones, it's King when we come back to London. We welcome you back to the John Labatt Centre. It's home of the London Knights of the Ontario Major Junior Hockey League. 4 games on the ice, and let's show you all the games in this opening draw of this 25th Scott Tournament of Hearts. In Ontario, it's Krista Sharp out of the Fort Williams and Thunder Bay against Kerry Cooey from Yellowknife. Andrea Kelly from Fredericton against Suzanne Goody of Charlottetown. Kelly Scott from Kelowna, BC. Tracy Streifel from the Granite in Saskatoon. And of course, our featured game, Nova Scotia and Alberta, Colleen Jones against Kathy King. It's time to meet the teams now. It's brought to you by True Value Hardware. Help is just around the corner.
I'm Colleen Jones from Halifax, Nova Scotia. My team at lead, we've got Nancy Delahunt. Playing second stone, Marianne Arsenault. The third is Kim Kelly. And our fifth is Mary Sue Radford, and we play out of the Mayflower Curling Club.
Hi, I'm Kathy King from the Saville Sports Centre in Edmonton. My lead is Tracy Bush. My second is Raylene Rock. My third is Laurie Armitstead. Our fifth player is Beth Iskew, and our coach is Randy Olson.
It'll be Nova Scotia playing the Redstones, Alberta playing the Yellowstones. Nova Scotia will have the hammer in this first end of play as Colleen speaks with Keith Riley. Longtime member of the Canadian Curling Association, former Brier winner, if I remember correctly, Ray, of a number of years ago.
You're absolutely right, Vic.
And it will be...
Are you asking me the year?
Well, yeah, the team helped me out.
Since this is the first show, I would appreciate if you don't ask me the years of particular things.
It was Alfie Phillips, wasn't it? But didn't he play with Alfie Phillips? Yeah. Yes, he did.
1967, perhaps?
67.
You know, Linda, you're always there just to bail him out.
Well, she has the book.
And so to get us going, the Alberta lead is Tracy Bush.
Well, it's a great matchup for our first game. We've got a very hot team in the Alberta rink that have played so well, especially at the Canada Cup. And then we have Colleen Jones. And
Yes,
I think
sir,
we're
I
going
apologize.
to see these teams a few times.
Go ahead.
Coming down.
Great. You just can't believe that Colleen Jones is at the 20th appearance.
Well, you know, we talked about, you and I talked about it just a few moments ago, Linda. What amazes me is just she's like a kid out there. She's so enthusiastic, you know, and you kind of wonder why it hasn't, you know, fizzled out, but it hasn't. She's so up all the time. I mean, she's a wonderful person. We've had some great times with Colleen over the years. but her enthusiasm for this game and the way she keeps herself, you know, in everything, it's fantastic. She's changed her style a little bit, not a great amount, but she plays a little bit more offensively. But she's almost going to be forced into it. But it's just her enthusiasm. It's unbelievable. 20 times. And you know, I think the difference this year will be, and it'll be interesting to watch how it develops throughout the week, but the difference will be the fact that she had to win her way back this year. You know, you didn't come as Team Canada, and so you've gone through the play down system. So I think it really sometimes it puts you in a better position.
And you do have to give her a lot of credit. You're right, for winning her way back. Did not have a great Scott last year, a 6-5 record. Did not have a great run at the Olympic trials. Disappointment in both of those, and yet bounces back with the victory at the provincials. And one more little thing about Colleen, she was overworking in Italy with the Olympics, and if there's one thing that, she may be a little tired from being over there and come back, but think of the motivation and inspiration from being around that kind of environment. And Canadian athletes are doing so well this year. It's going to be interesting to see if that's a little extra spark for her as well.
Yeah, you would think she'd be maybe a little exhausted, but boy, I saw her last night, talked to her last night, and boy, she just was bubbling all over the place. And it's, she's been just marvelous for this sport of ours. And I remember being in Geneva when she curled in '82, and you know, she was just a youngster at that time. As a matter of fact, that was the year she wore the headphones. Did she not, Linda?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. And that year, of course, was the first year that Scott Papers sponsored this Canadian Championship. She has been here all those years.
Well, we talked about Scott Paper. You just cannot say enough about the corporation, and they just have given so much to women's curling in this country and made this event absolutely a fantastic event. And we just have to, you know, be so thankful for their involvement. And we thank them by buying their products. That's what we do.
Marianne Arsenault with the miss. Nova Scotia playing the Redstones with the hammer here in this first end of play opening draw, the 25th Scott Tournament of Hearts in London, Ontario.
Yeah, no, 4 should be
We'll be
good.
talking about the ice, of course, during the week. The one thing that these teams, these experienced teams, have to keep in mind is this is very typical national ice. It's great ice. Ray will be telling you about the curl, but they have to keep in mind that when you play a little bit more weight, it does go that much straighter. You cannot play with the release. So this first day, these first games, it's nice if you're a curler out there throwing cleanly to the broom and giving your skip a really good read.
Well, we will talk about the ice in detail. Our viewers have been watching the Olympics, and there was a lot of conversation about the ice in Torino, and or Turin, whatever you want to call it. It still confuses me. You know, it's Torino spelling, isn't it? Turin, they call it. I don't know. Anyway, the ice there was very, very straight, especially in the beginning of the week. Mike and Joan talked about it in detail, but then during the event, they started to shave a little bit, it looked like to me, and it became dished, so the 12-foot was out of the game. And so we'll talk about it. Very seldom do we see that kind of a problem in the ice surfaces in our country because of the ability of the ice makers, and you'll see 3.5 to 4 feet of curl. We'll watch it closely. We do have to watch a number of things which we'll talk about later on.
Whoa, it's over curling.
She's playing against another third who's so good, Kim Kelly for Nova Scotia, but Lori on the Alberta team is a very good thrower. She's got a wonderful release. You see lots of rotation, and we talk about that, the importance on arena ice. This one's going to overcurl a little bit, but during the week, I think Lori will be very key for this team.
That's good.
Yeah, just curled a little too much.
All right.
So Colleen, with the advantage of last rock in this end, he gets a chance to come across the face with Kim Kelly Stone and hopefully get a little roll behind that guard.
Little firm. Got to cross center.
Go the other way, but not yet.
Okay.
Watch your boat.
Sit.
All right.
Just quickly for the viewers, once again, that we're watching the Olympics, you see the difference in the width of the sheet.
95 then?
You know, in Europe, it's 15 feet 7 inches, I believe, Linda, and that's not the case here. So we talked last night, all of us, about how many tick shots we saw in those during the Olympics. And that shot is made easier, of course, because the ice is wider over there. That was a good picture of the rock rolling out.
It does look like the ice is fairly lively, which means you have to be careful of the roll, hit more of the stone than you maybe think.
Keep going.
Very nice brush. Raylene Rock, Tracy Bush.
Well, it's an experienced front end, and they know all the little things that make them a good front end. They're rushing. They're excellent rushers.
Forward.
And it's not only do you have to be a good brusher, you have to know when to brush and how to judge properly. They do use the stopwatches, of course, but a lot of it is by the naked eye. Understanding releases.
Roll it in. Roll it on if it'll go. Oh, it's trying. Oh. Come on, baby. Come on. Atta girl. Good.
Is anyone thrown over here?
Yeah, it's nice. That's perfect.
Talk to it enough, I guess.
That was a big break. They got the roll in, so Kathy King will not ignore the little biter. She'll hit it. I mean, she can't go over and guard her stone.
Did anyone throw here yet?
I did. In practice.
Now, a year ago, this is the second straight trip to the Scott Tournament of Hearts for this Kathy King team. They went 6-5 a year ago. She said, look,
This ran nice.
the rest of the team was all new. Now they know what to expect, Linda. They're not going to be awed by the crowds or the television cameras. And do you think it means that much to a team?
We talk about it so much, how big experience is. That's why Ray and I spent a little bit of time in the opening talking about the experience on all of the teams. And I think that is huge. And Vic, it's getting used to the distractions and the look. This arena is going to be full this week. You just can't find that kind of experience or simulate it in a curling club environment.
No question. There's no question. Your first bar, your first Scott, I don't care how prepared you may make yourself. It just, it's difficult. And the second time back or the third time back, whatever it may be, the 20th time back.
Yes.
You know, you just come into the event. I know the first bar I went to, I mean, I was in awe, and they were huge crowds, et cetera, et cetera. And we did well, but we didn't win. But we went, the next time we got back to the bar, we went there with a whole different attitude. We were going to win, and we went, and we did win. But a couple years later, they invented cars.
Put my little roll center.
Notice I never mention a year.
Yeah, it's very good.
Whoa. Little firm. Whoa.
Nice shot by Kathy King to put that rock in play. So she is lying two. It'll force Colleen to take a single. If
The rings are so
give up the
fast.
advantage of last rock. And it's Vic, it's what you love. The house is lively. The rocks, there's lots of action.
Yeah, it is.
It's a new look for Colleen Jones. Look at glasses, as she said she had laser surgery a couple of years ago. And Kathy Gauthier is with us all week. Kathy?
Well, she did, but the other thing is that what has happened in the last couple of years is that one of her eyes became a little nearsighted, the other a little farsighted. And that's a similar condition that I have. And what happens is your eyes sort of balance each other out. And she didn't realize until she got glasses, Vic, that she really was missing a lot. She said to me earlier before the game started that she's now having second thoughts and wondering about how many more shots she could have made at the trials had she had her glasses then. Because I have to tell you, before I got my glasses, I thought Moosey was just average.
So you're starting it off too, are you? Okay, it's a long week, Kath.
Great shot.
Well, the other thing, too, is you notice that they're rimless. And what she said to me, Kathy, was that she had to get glasses that did not interfere because at times you'd want to look down at the stone, maybe to see the hog line, and you didn't even want to get the rim in your field of vision.
Well, here's the out-turn hit to score a single. She has to hit and stick. A little bit of a roll to the inside. Maybe a nose hit will do it too.
Peak is fine.
Right in the nose is fine.
Straight too.
Thank you, Colleen.
We know it's her favorite turn. It's going to be interesting during the week, Ray. We always have this little conversation about playing outside in versus inside out. And if you can't afford to roll outside, which turn to play. But we know Colleen loves her out turn.
Ooh.
Clean. 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 Clean it.
Her sliding brush gets away from her a little bit.
Clean. Just clean.
Forced into taking a single point. And she does. And of course, it comes off that miss by Marianne Way. So Nova Scotia gets their single here in the first. We're nicely underway. The Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN. For this opening draw of the Scott Tournament of Hearts, teams not on the ice include Team Canada, Manitoba, Quebec, and Newfoundland and Labrador. Our featured sheet is on the outside at sheet D, and it's time to read the ice now with Ray.
Well, it looks like there's a little curl in it, Vic. It's about 3.5, but it's a little straighter in this first draw than we expected. We just saw Colleen play an out turn down here, and you saw how straight it ran. It ran straight down there. You do have to watch carefully. Sometimes in the outside sheet, when the warm air comes down, you will get a little frost. And we know from experience that you have to be careful with the slide path coming in 6, 7, 8, and 9. Sometimes they flatten out, but we'll watch it closely and keep up to date with the curl.
Dave Merklinger is the ice maker here this week at the John Labatt Center as we begin play in the second. Alberta playing the Yellowstones will have the hammer.
You know, Vic, there's only one thing missing so far. Have you given us a weather report?
No, actually. Now, you know what, when we came over this morning around 12:30 Eastern time, I'm all into these times now with the Olympics. I'm trying to think 6 hours and
in
then
Italy,
in Newfoundland.
that would be.
It was snowing quite heavily here. There were squall warnings for most of southern Ontario, but it's about -5 and supposed to get milder throughout the week, actually.
Because you have to keep Ray up to date because that affects the ice, of course. So we need to know that information.
Have you ever been up this high before, Vic?
We are in the rafters.
Anyone higher than we are right now is maybe skier Bodie Miller.
Oh, now there.
No, we haven't been this high, I don't think, for a long
we're
time.
up here. Tracy Bush.
Lots of room. It's coming down.
Quite a contrast in the first two ends. First end, Colleen Jones with the last drop, played open hits, got a miss from her team, and that's why we got more rocks in play. Here, the first drop was in the house. The corner guard went up by Alberta, center guard by Nova Scotia, and there's the come around by Alberta. All four of the first rocks in play because of Kathy King's more aggressive approach.
Well, that's what I was just going to say to you. She thought she was a more aggressive team this year. It started at the Canada Cup when she took advantage of rocks behind the tee line.
And it's something we talk about a lot. First day of the championship, you often see people even like a Kathy King pull back a little bit. There's a few nerves out there, but no, sir, she's going right after it.
A good call by Kathy, and that's exactly how she likes to play. I think, and you mentioned it earlier, the fact that you know they're here, the team's here for the second time. They are a little bit more experienced, and you can play more aggressively the more confidence you have in your team members, obviously.
So hard. I think that's good enough. Good shot.
Okay, Ray J, you got it.
Wait on me. 2. Lots of room. Gotta move. Wait on me. Gotta move. Hard. 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 Hard as we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Turn draw.
Early scores. Another game, Ontario Krista Sharp from Thunder Bay with the hammer.
Yep.
Against Cooey from Yukon Northwest Territory, Suzanne Goody with the hammer blanks the first against New Brunswick.
Sure.
And BC, and one of the teams that I know you favor and think a lot of just because of her results so far, and that's Kelly Scott against Tracy Streifel. I mean, last year had a good run at the Olympic trials, Linda.
And I saw Kelly Scott. I was coaching a different team at the provincials and watched them, and Kelly Scott had a very solid provincial. Vic, so good for them for rebounding after a hard loss at the trials.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. The thing to notice too, it's typical the first end of an event, Linda, is that on on the 4 sheets, only 1 point scored. It's you know, there's a little bit of nervousness, and all the teams playing a little conservatively until you get to this end. Now we got lots of rocks in play. A great tap out.
Like that? I think so. I don't mind it. Hit it on the high side. Yep. Normal.
We'll run the yellow rock back.
You got it.
It's a possible raised double there if they could run it back properly.
Yep. Hard! 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 Whoa! Nice shot.
Wow.
Every shot. That shot's a great illustration of the difference. I mean, we saw Mark Nickel make a couple of unbelievable shots yesterday in the game, in the gold medal game. And that's a great shot, but you can just see the difference in weight. The men would throw that with a great deal more weight, and as a result of the more weight, you may have got rid of the other stone as well.
No.
But a good shot, a nice shot.
Clean. Clean. Just clean.
Kim Kelly, as we play third stones here in this second end. 1-0 Nova Scotia.
Good.
It really is running fairly straight, and then I think, you know, we watched the practices and it was curling a little bit, but you know what they do sometimes, they get a little nervous, and when the building gets warmed up, and it takes a little while for the ice people to get a feel for the surface and for the crowd, etc., etc. So when they pull the brine a little bit, make it a little colder, it does have a tendency to straighten up a little bit sometimes, because it looks a little bit straighter, I think, now than it was in practice.
Well, when we came in the building, I had my coat off. I now have my little mitts on.
I see
so
that.
I think it's getting a little cooler in here. Now, people may say that Kathy King doesn't have a great situation because there's 2 opposing stones in the rings, but there's guards, and the rocks in the house are behind the tee line. And didn't need to curl much more to be a perfect little tap back.
What's she tapping, the hack? Okay.
Hack, short.
Touch less weight, and that would have been perfect.
It's about a 13 right now. What do you say? Board. Roll in. Hack to board. Hack.
Kim Kelly right down on top, bounces it back,
Good shot, Kim.
and it'll roll far enough, and Nova Scotia without the hammer, line 2.
Nice shot by Kim.
Just play this quiet. Try and clip this one. Might get a triple. Yeah. Board?
Not with quiet weight.
No. Okay, how much are we hitting of it? 2/3? Okay. Got this, Lori. Board weight. Just board. Yep. Yeah. Control. Yep. Gotta go hard. Hard. Hard.
Roy Armstead.
Hard. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Quick, 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 quick.
Got a girl.
How good a shot is that?
Nice shots. First Raylene Rock, now Laurie Armstead. Well, let's begin our updates. Ontario and the Yukon Northwest Territories. Krista Scharf from the Fort William and Thunder Bay. Carrie Cooey from the Yellowknife Curling Club. Line 2. And look at how aggressive she is here in this second, as she's looking to play the split for a possible 4. Scharf, a former 3-time Northern Ontario junior champion, a mixed champion, making her first appearance. What a great shot for 4 to start it off here on the opening day of the Scott.
Whoa. Clean. Whoa.
It's not
This Yellowstone roll to a great spot for Alberta. Colleen can't hit and roll behind cover. She's got to hit it the other way or she'd be jamming.
Good girl.
And she got away with it.
Real stubborn over there.
Yeah, it is.
Throw.
Yeah, you hear them referring to the ice and how straight it's running. It's just once you get it out there a little bit, and it just stays out there, and that will, you know, that'll change.
Sure.
The ice technicians in our country, and there's a number of them that really know how to, you know, to work the ice a little bit, and they will as the week goes on. This is typical of a first day draw.
I think as you look as Kathy goes down the ice, you have to remember about all the issues the ice makers are dealing with. It's the crowd, partly the airflow, all the things in this building that are new to them. It's a beautiful building, but there are new things that they have to learn about, just as the curlers learn about the ice as well.
I'm really throwing a lot to the wings here, but
It is lovely, a nice new building, so I know they've got good equipment to deal with.
Try and outcount that back one.
Opened in 2002.
Here's a chance for us to get a look at how much it curls. Kathy's playing her out turn, trying to curl in behind the corner guard.
Okay, 5,
She's
6.
taking about 8 or 9 inches
Tracy,
on the other side of the center line, so it has to move a lot.
Line's good, yep. Got a curl, lots. We need it for weight.
As Tracy Bush on the left closes to the stone, Raylene Rock is out in front.
Take a look. Just below 8. Make sure, yep.
So about 3 feet of movement. Nice throw.
there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
So now that looks like a lot with given the ice. The draw Kathy just threw. This is going to be. We could roll though. We could roll.
So Nancy Delahunt will hold the brush for Colleen Jones. Look, and I'll be honest with you, after the...
I hope so.
Well, you know, I was one of those people, and I don't know if you agree with me, and I don't think I was alone, who thought that Colleen and that team would not be back after the trials. I asked Kim about it. She said it never came up. They had made an agreement prior to the trials that they were going to play their provincial season, Linda. And it just came together again for them. Slow start of the provincials, but they were rejuvenated by it and thrilled to be here again.
Full credit to them, though, Vic. It's not easy to regroup. They've got tremendous motivation to win here.
Hurry! Quack! Quack! Whoa.
Just misses getting the stone at the back, so it will be
Good throw.
a hit for 2. The other thing Kim said, while families are always important, as you know, in these kind of things, she says now the children are old enough and they're saying, Mom, keep going. And she says that adds to it. It's not just dad or husbands saying, now the kids are taking pride in Mom's accomplishments.
Yep.
And you just can't deny their experience and the skill that they bring to the game, so they just need that little bit of extra motivation to get going. And you know they're going to be close.
If she throws firm, she might be in trouble.
Well, with the ice she's taking, you hear Kim referring to the broom. The ice she's taking, you see it right there. Thank you. She's playing it very quietly. She just touched that rock back, into the 12-foot, and she could score 2 points. With that ice, she looks like she is taking, going to play it quietly.
Wow, this is more than I thought she'd be throwing.
Well, with the ice, for sure, Lou.
Anything?
Hoping for something. And they'll move it and maybe just move it far enough.
1 yellow?
1 yellow it is. So missed opportunity for Alberta and Kathy King.
Yeah, 1 yellow.
Too much weight.
Cool.
We're 1-1 through 2 here in London, Ontario.
A little up and a little out. Just a touch.
A reminder, it is Sandra Schmirler Telethon Day on this opening day of the Scott Tournament of Hearts. There's the number to call, please. Team Canada, Jennifer Jones, their team has pledged $100 and is now challenging the other teams here at the Scott to match it. And we hear that the Nutana Curling Club out in Saskatchewan has pledged $1,300. We thank you all and hope that you will call as we move to the third end of a 1-1 tie, and Alberta and Kathy King, Linda misses an early chance.
6, 7,
What surprised me about the chance, Vic, is just the weight that she threw, because we're looking at ice that's just a little different, and Kathy's normally so strong with reading the ice. But as far as I'm concerned, even if she had been a little full of the broom, that had no chance to come up. It was just too strong.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Well, you heard Kim Kelly talking about that very same thing. She's got a lot of ice there, and I guess she's going to play it really quietly, but
A little less.
opportunities, you talk about those all the time, Linda. That's a point that for a moment you had it in your pocket, and now it's gone. At the end of the game, when you total them all up, so that one little point, you would like to have it back.
That could
Just
mean
for
a
weight.
lot.
Leave it if you can. Way out.
Way out. Way out.
Just a biter's good.
Just a guard then, guys.
Yeah, go now.
Yep.
Yep.
Just a guard. Just a guard. Whoa, keep it in.
We're in.
I think you can bury a piece.
I don't think you can bury a piece.
Oh, really?
Go, 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 go. Yes, yes. Hard. Hurry.
Let's check the ice times. They're brought to you by M&M Meat Shops. Hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. Linda?
It's fast ice. We often see this. Draw weight between the hog lines, 14 to 14 and a half seconds. Guards, 16 seconds, and hack weight, 11 and a half. If it tends to be a little straight, it even slides better, goes a little further, so you have to be so careful. And that's why often stones glide into the rings when you don't want them to.
Not yet.
Yep.
Tracy.
Go, go, go. Hard.
Great shot.
Good shot.
Shot, Ray J.
Had a girl, Ray.
Kim, what were my 2 splits?
90 and 4.
Second one was 4?
Yeah. Okay.
Nice roll behind the corner guard by Raylene.
We can hear the curlers talking about the interval time. That's from the back line. Right there, they click it, and then they'll click it again at the first hog line. Right now, they're getting intervals of 3.9 seconds, even 4 seconds. That's really
quick.
fast.
Yeah, that's very fast.
You have to really watch your kick out of the
It's
hat.
good. Top 8.
At the end. Getting better. Yeah, now go. Hurry.
Oh, this is a great one.
It's a great one, Nancy.
It's a good one, I think.
Okay.
Very nice.
Good
Marianne.
shot, Marianne.
Fully buried, top edge of the floor. Do you notice that?
Want to do that?
It's throwing, it's one thing, but when
Run
you
it back.
step on the ice, can you feel that through the slider?
The speed of the ice,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you know, some ice,
Same
Vic,
way.
the worst for me was always when it was a little sludgy, when it
got it, Ray.
grabbed your slider and didn't let you go. And then you didn't have the feel as much. I think the fast ice, you can get the feel. You just have to watch if the adrenaline's pumping at all, not to kick out too hard.
Hard. Hurry. Quick.
Well, you heard Brad Gushu talk about his last straw in the gold medal game. He said the adrenaline was going so hard, I drove out of there like a rocket.
On there.
Draw for 7, you're I can imagine the adrenaline would be going.
Yeah.
I don't think the team was too worried at that point.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, I think he may have even, well, anyway, the adrenaline flows.
Raylene's crash, Raylene Rock with the crash opens up those 2 stones now, sitting in the 4-foot for Nova
Be a tight
Scotia.
guard.
Got room. Where?
Marianne
Tight
Arsenault.
guard.
Nova Scotia playing the red
We got no
stones, looking
line,
good
right?
right now, line
Yep,
2.
Go. Might as well go.
Hard. Try to get it in.
We can get this in, Kim.
Hard. Hard.
Oh, it's 8 foot.
Whoa, whoa, then whoa.
It's just
Sorry,
goes
I
and
was thinking it
goes.
was still guard weight.
Well, yeah,
So,
as soon as you sweep the, yeah.
No, I know, but that's why I was
yeah.
calling sweep.
Okay.
All right, were they twixt in between on what they were going to do there, Linda?
No, they were looking to cover the rocks, Vic, so they needed it to curl. That's why they swept it, but of course dragged it in. So here's a good shot for a double.
I'm surprised, Ray, they didn't leave it high and leave it as a pure guard.
Yeah, it didn't curl. If they had left it a bit, it may have curled a little bit more as well and covered it.
Hard. Whoa.
You heard Colleen say, I thought it was going to be higher.
Girl.
Good chance for the double, as Linda says, and there it is, no mistake.
That a girl. That's it. Great shot.
That's the one difficulty when you're
Good
trying
sweep,
to
guys.
build an end
That's
around guards around the center line. Of course, Alberta wanting to play more
Good call,
around the
Cass.
center
Good
line
too.
without Hammer, but Colleen hoping to spread
Kind of
things
that
out
it is.
more.
I kind of like that.
I don't like
like, because this gives them the ability to flip in behind this.
And you can see Colleen's worried about leaving those yellows in play around center line in case Alberta, Kathy King gets something behind it.
Little firm. Regular.
Whoa.
Yep. Whoa. Yep. Hard. Quick. Right up.
Okay. Number 2. Sorry, bud.
So Vic, there's your first test for second shot.
Run it back. Same thing, normal. On the
I think-
nose.
I think
I've
Red-
noticed in the last
Okay,
number
you
of
got
years, you're not quite as aggressive as you used to be, Vic.
No.
You used to jump right in there and bang those out. Now
I think Red's lying 1-2.
Close, close. Whoa, whoa. Other way.
Laurie
Yeah.
Armitstead.
Hard. Hard. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, girls.
I like the draw.
Got away with it.
There's no point in hitting
Jams
that
it.
now, right?
Leaves the Nova Scotia stone, biting the edge of the button.
Okay, this is my first draw, so pretty light, eh?
4.5? I'm gonna say about 4-3 here, Marion. What do you think? Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Kim Kelly.
Should be a lot. 72.
Lots?
you hear the beep of the watches. You've got the
We're
interval time on it. Should
Okay,
be lots, is
straight.
what Nancy says.
Careful, careful. Careful.
Just full 12, full 12. Whoa, whoa, easy. Okay, then go
We can make it
even. Even, just even, whoa.
And
Great.
just even they are.
That was stubborn to get over.
That
there.
would walk over. You throw an out turn, peel.
We'll watch, as I mentioned earlier, we'll watch the ice as close as we can because it does look on this particular sheet anyway that there is a little trouble getting to the 12-foot. And that's the same kind of thing that you saw. Those of you who watched the Olympics closely saw they had problems. They actually, the ice was sort of dished over there, and the 12-foot was almost out of the game. If you didn't roll over there, you could never get a rock get into the 12-foot on the edges. And that was stubborn. That was the word that I believe Nancy used, or one of them used, and it just wouldn't break.
Yes, yes. Whoa.
She's trying the big weight to try and get it to bounce over towards the other red stone.
No. Roll it.
Skip stones here in the third. Bounce it over, she does.
Very nice shot by Kathy.
That's good. How'd it go? Yeah. Shot.
How many years ago was Snow White?
Thank
Vic,
you.
can you remember what year that was?
98.
Sorry, I thought that
Wasn't
was.
it?
Wasn't it before that?
May have been the first time we saw
Yeah.
Not our
Kathy,
area.
because her first year was 95,
Yeah.
97. Yeah, in that area.
It was her first 3 years where she was so successful, a second place, a tiebreaker, and then a win. And the last 3, she's really struggled with her team. So they're looking to regain that form of the late 90s.
Maybe she'll get a little roll inside.
That's a lot of.
Which says
through that in practice.
a lot,
She might not throw
again,
that much weight, though.
about the makeup of teams
Might be throwing board or
and
something.
how important it is.
on the nose. Is there a double
Um,
I'd have to
You gotta
And I
hit
think
it.
everyone expects, I know in Ontario there's some suggestion that many teams are going to
Regular.
blow themselves up in the ladies
Whoa.
competition particularly, reconfigure for next year, just looking for that winning combination.
Whoa, go Kim.
Well, that hasn't changed, Vic. It's always been that's the part of the game that I
Nice throw.
love so much, is that one combination works and one doesn't, and you never understand why. I mean, I know I was involved in that situation where we had a combination that one year won everything, and we changed it because Ronnie Bronstein had to go off to went off to medical school in California. We changed it with probably maybe a better thrower, Rod Hunter, who eventually became a 2-time world champion. And yet the chemistry of the team was never the same, you know, the next year when we got together.
From
And
here,
it's
it
little
looks
things.
like
You don't know
a third.
what makes it go. So sometimes, you know, the chemistry of any curling team, I guess maybe any team, Linda. You hear them talk about that in hockey. I mean, didn't they talk about the hockey this year with maybe a different type of chemistry or a different type of player needed, et cetera, et cetera. So it's always been there. I think it's very, very important.
Well, we just had it in the middle of the rock and it bonked it her in the nose, so.
Yeah, but that was a center line, right?
Playing the double, Linda?
She's going to try, Vic.
You got it.
It's not an easy angle.
No? Kathy's got the great swing right from the shoulder, stays up high, then extends.
Whoa.
Final stone, Kathy King. It's Nova Scotia with the hammer here in the third of a 1-1 tie. Looking to make the double, gets one, gets two, and there goes the shooter.
Great shot, Kathy.
That's a very nice shot.
You bet.
You know you're close, Ray, when you've got the one player calling yes and the other calling no.
That was always a good sign. As a brusher, you could, or a sweeper, you could always, you're always happy. One's yelling on, the other's yelling off. You know it's going to be awful close.
And then other nice thing is there's two Yellowstones in the rings.
Can't flash it, right?
So that means Colleen is drawing for her point.
No. 4.5.
Now, if you could, well,
Say, yeah.
there is separation. Could you not catch it in such a way to get them both?
Well, you certainly could, and the men could throw it hard enough down there to take have a better chance of doing it.
Okay.
But you know, if you hit it on the nose or something, they're not obviously the one you hit's going to be shot rock. So no, she's just going to draw for her single. In answer to your question, yes, they could buzz it down there and with big weight and get those out of there no problem, and get the blank.
Looks like lots, guys.
And that's what they would be playing.
Looks like a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah. 14.
Yeah, it's all right.
Great shot, Colleen.
Always going to school. No shot is ever wasted.
Yeah.
As she grabs the back of the button, we'll tuck that information away just in case she needs it later. 2-1 Nova Scotia. A little bit of snow, temperature just below freezing, the Thames River. We're in London, Ontario for the 25th anniversary of the Scott Tournament of Hearts. And let's continue our updates in this opening draw. New Brunswick against Prince Edward Island. The New Brunswick champions, Andrea Kelly, making their first appearance at the National Championship from the Capital Winter Club, playing Prince Edward Island, and Suzanne Goody out of Charlottetown in a third appearance. And all the yellow stones. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Final stone for Kelly, the 20-year-old business student out of the University of New Brunswick. The former Canadian junior champion makes the pressure shot to pick up her single and tie it at 1-1 going to 4. So here are all the other scores, and the Yukon Northwest Territories and Kerry Cooey from Yellowknife gets 2 in the third, and Ontario and Scharf from Thunder Bay has the hammer. BC with a 1-0 lead over Saskatchewan, and that's Kelly Scott against Tracy Streifel from the Granite Curling Club in Saskatoon. As in our game, it's a 1-2-1 Nova Scotia leading Alberta. Alberta playing the Yellowstones with the hammer here in the fourth. Kathy Gauthier.
Well, what is interesting in those scores as well, Vic, is I'm keeping my eyes on the other sheets. And Tara George, Krista Scharf from Ontario playing very, very well. And Andrea Kelly, and even in the Kelly Scott game, Kelly Scott forced to draw against 2 for that single point. Clearly saying that all these teams out here, whether they have the experience or not, are not giving anything easily.
Mary Ann Arsenault as we play second stones.
Board or better. Just board.
Kathy was keeping those bad eyes on the other sheets.
I know. Funny, huh?
So do we really believe anything she says?
You've got a memory like an elephant, eh? Just she takes one shot at you. You're never gonna. It's all about the eyes now. But that's not the.
So much.
You've got a young team in Krista Scharf who has been nibbling at an Ontario championship. She's got Tara George at third, again, a former skip. They've hooked up coming out of Thunder Bay. That's not to suggest, though, that these teams want to be reckless in being overly aggressive. It's just taking it, to use the cliche, take what's given to you.
And on the other sheets, they're having more, I think, freeze attempts so far, Vic. That's a little lower risk than putting up guards. Kathy King, on the other hand, is really playing the guards and forcing the issue
Ray.
early,
That's like it
even
backed
though the first stone by Nova
It's a little
Scotia
more than
was
control, I
into the
thought.
4-foot. So that is the one difference. But I agree with Kathy. Full credit to the young, inexperienced teams for coming out here and putting rocks in play and going right at it.
I had a chance to watch the Scharf team, Vic, just to extend that thought of yours. And when they were in Winnipeg at the Casinos of Winnipeg Cash Bonds Bill, and they qualified, and they are a good team. And Lorraine Lang, as did Russ Howard, just adds a little bit of that experience that's required sometimes for new combinations and younger curlers.
Whoa, it's trying to curl.
I mean, what a choice that Brad Gushue made. What a
We can get
unbelievable
deeper than that one. Okay, go.
combination that was with Howard at second and reading the ice and calling the game. And what a thrill for Russ it must be. What a way to wind down your career. I'm not saying you're finished, Russ.
She's looking at taking them all.
Peel. You got it. Yep.
Watch our yellow one, it might bounce in.
Hard. Whoa, whoa. No, it's like it's falling out there.
Watch that. Okay.
Good shot.
That's a good shot.
Opens that Nova Scotia
Kathy,
stone.
watch out.
It's a very good shot.
Might be easier on the in turn.
Yeah. Do you think it'll curl that
Strong
much?
numbers
Yeah,
for
okay.
the Alberta team from
I do. It's out far enough, like.
Yeah.
the Saville Sports Centre in Edmonton.
Really good numbers, Vic, and in particular, if you look at Kathy, yes, she's got great support. She made a terrific double last end, and Kathy is the kind of skip that takes chances. That means she has to be prepared to make the big shot, and so far it looks like she's ready to do so.
And that's a good point, Linda. When you play as aggressively as Kathy King does, and she knows the game very well, you do have to come up with, quite often, quite frankly, the big shots, because it's
Sit.
and that was a terrific
Kim,
double. That
nice.
was not an easy double. We talked about it before she threw it.
And wow, look at the battle we're going to have. And Nancy Delahunt, how many times is she over the 90% number, even at the end of the week?
How much are we hitting?
Great numbers for both teams.
7-8. How much are we hitting of the rock?
Just a little on the high side. Jake, you got it.
Peel, she said?
Yep.
Peel Wade, try and run it back. Get it off the 4-foot.
Now it's interesting, Lori's asking about the place to hit the rock. Many curlers actually visualize that spot and want to know that piece of information before throwing.
Got him.
She jammed it.
Jammed it. Spills it out into. Looks like it could be in the hole.
I think maybe you can see a corner, that's all, Vic. About half of it, maybe.
No. Okay.
Good chance for Colleen Kelly to draw around this center guard now.
Alberta playing the Yellowstones has the hammer here in
Top
this
12
fourth.
only. Hard.
Right up, guys. Right up. Hard for line. Hurry.
Where are we? Top 12. Whoa. Not even that. Okay. Okay.
Did I throw it the same, or is it just heavier?
You
over
threw
there?
about the same.
I did throw it the same?
All right, so that's always the question as the thrower. You want to know, did I throw it the same? So is that the ice the problem out there then?
It's very swingy, and that
right there.
spot, that half, remember Ray
it's forward.
talked about a little bit, that's the half where the stands do have a bit of air coming down. It could be a little slower, Vic.
You notice, Linda, how Vic is testing us early
I
this
know.
week? Yeah, he's with a whole bunch of things, you know.
Fourth end, and how many
Yeah.
questions
Yeah,
has there
I
been
know. I
already?
don't know, but there's quite a few. I've been ticking them off here. Save something for the later end of the week, will you, pal?
I'll be silent. Lori Armistead now trying to find the hole. Got it through, she does. Got the stone, she does too, and there's the roll. But it'll pop out onto the other side, edge of the button tee line.
I rolled a little too far, but that's a wonderful shot. And it's also a good example of how she threw one rock up with lots of weight and then came down to a soft tap back with the next one. Nice shot. That's the kind of feel you have to have in this game. You have to be able to throw everything. Throw it quietly, throw it big. Just rolls a little too far on it, but a lovely shot.
I thought you threw it with the right weight.
Just saying, I don't know if the roll.
was there because... No, you probably had hack, I think.
No, I agree. I don't. If she threw it as well as she could.
Sorry about my first one. I thought it just curled up in the last
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
You can play the inside roll if it's moving, but otherwise just roll to the 8 foot.
Well, you know exactly what she's doing.
Oh, she can see everything now. With those
Oh,
glasses.
gee.
Whoa!
Oh, what a Hawkeye she is.
I always remember
Right
those.
off.
The back of the comics when I was growing up. You remember a guy could buy those little X-ray specs? Remember you could see those? And
Already.
never did
Good
get
girl.
those though.
Linda wasn't growing up the same time as you.
No, I guess not. Wasn't worried about X-ray specs.
That's what Colleen wanted. She wanted the roll to the outside. That's what she got.
You're throwing those beautiful, Colleen. Like,
you.
Did you throw it here in practice? Kind of ran here, didn't it?
I threw going the other way, and it ran dead straight.
You have a choice here. She's going to play the
Yep.
hit. You could ignore that stone.
Did anyone throw here in practice? No, you didn't. You threw in the middle.
Coming this way, though. It'll do the same thing.
Tracy threw the out turn here, didn't she?
No.
Isn't
No.
this your first rock over to this side?
Yeah, over to that side with the intern.
The out turn over here.
She
I
threw
don't
the
throw
other
it yet.
turn.
Draw.
This will be the first stone for Kathy King here in the 4th.
Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa, whoa.
Clean.
You want to stick. You don't want to roll out.
Clean. You can clean.
Give Colleen a chance to go behind the guards. You want to stick here for sure.
And she will.
Good
Nice,
shot.
nice throw by Kathy.
Was that one of those situations, Linda, where we talk about the turn, what you could play, whether it's the in turn or the out turn towards the stone, one a curly turn, another a straight
He
turn?
does it going that way.
Yeah, the interesting part about the shot, Vic, you're right. You could have played either turn, and one might give you a roll or the other. But if you wanted to get in behind cover, you would have drawn.
Okay.
This way, she was trying to keep the blank in place, so she wasn't really concerned
All right, so
about that roll.
if she was going to be as aggressive as we think she maybe should have been, or as she's shown, she just would have ignored it and drawn.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those 2-on-1 scenarios, but you got to make the draw because the opposition has got one in the rings, you know. So, and if she rolls out there, that gives Colleen, of course, a chance to
Go.
Whoa! Right off.
Might miss it. For God's sakes, we got so much ice.
Uh-oh.
You're fine, you're fine.
And she is. Doesn't stick around, so
Okay.
it'll be a chance to blank.
a couple of wily veterans.
Yeah. Yeah, you did talk about Colleen, and as we see her there, she did practice while she was working for the CBC and News World in Pinerolo. She was, she would go up to Pinerolo and throw on the practice ice, which was right next door to the competition venue. So she did get a chance to throw, but still she must be a little bit jet lagged, arriving here on Thursday evening, as Kathy King throws it through to blank this 4th end of play, and it remains 2-1 Nova Scotia. Now let's meet these two teams. And throwing lead stones for Nova Scotia, Nancy Delahunt. For Alberta, Tracy Bush. The seconds, Marianne Arsenault and Raylene Rock. Throwing third stones, Kim Kelly and Laurie Armitstead. And the Nova Scotia skip, Colleen Jones from the Mayflower in Halifax, and Alberta's Kathy King out of the Saville Sports Centre in Edmonton. Sandra Schmirler Day continues this opening day of the Scott Tournament of Hearts. Heather Strong from Newfoundland is working the phones. That's her in the background. And Team Canada, Jennifer Jones, they're challenging all the other teams to match their $100 donation. We hope that you'll call as well, all in support of neonatal care across Canada. As we welcome you back to the John Labatt Centre here in London, and this opening day of the Scott as we go to the 5th, 2-1 Nova Scotia, Alberta playing the Yellowstones with the hammer.
Coming down.
Well, we talked a little bit in the break about that situation
sweeping,
that
guys.
Kathy
Yep,
has.
keep coming, keep
She
coming.
likes to play aggressively, and
it.
Linda
Good
made the
shot,
point.
great
You know,
shot,
she
Grace.
could have
Nice
drawn
move.
there. Yes, she could have made an aggressive move. There was she had 2 rocks to come, and Colleen only had 1, and she could have chose to go behind that guard, Linda, and maybe try and set up her deuce, but she did get the blank, so she rocks now in the 4-footer, just top of the button, and up goes the corner guard.
Slower split.
And I mentioned Nancy Delahunt. We've seen her
Where?
for so many years now
Tight.
play so
Coming
well.
out.
And
Make sure
again,
it's
this
tight.
end, her first stone in the end is top of the 4-foot,
It's tight.
top of the
Threatening
button, which
in.
is exactly what Colleen wants. To force eventually Alberta to have to make a play on a rock that
Whoa.
is very good, right in
Nice,
the middle
Nan.
of the house.
Nice shot.
So Kathy has to find a way to get back over to behind that corner guard if she wants to try and generate the extra point using that guard. And it won't be easy.
Top 8's good. Yeah.
Well, she put the guard up absolutely perfect, didn't she?
Get close to line. Yep. Hard line. Hard. Just halfway. Really? Tight.
Tracy Bush, the lead for Alberta, the
Kind of a
former
you guys get on that.
Canadian junior champion, playing out of Manitoba with
I got 93.
Kathy Overton.
Come in again?
And then her former skip, of course, is a reigning Canadian champion, playing with Jennifer Jones.
It's out front, right? Is that what she wants? Okay.
Well, I will tell you right now that the battle of lead is being won by Nova Scotia. That's a big mistake, because now Marianne can cover it up again, and Kathy will be really scrambling to get into that 4-foot area.
Yeah, even if you come down and you raise that rock into the rings or chip it over a little bit, it's fine.
We're losing line?
Cutting hard, yeah.
Just can't be light like
But
that.
the angle on this might be great.
We're not that far.
Okay. Yep.
We're a little short. We're not there, Colleen.
I know, I'm just saying, like,
To there. Okay, good girl.
Good.
I think we rip everything.
Yep.
Might be able to get them all.
Yep. Just get rid of these 2 at least.
Yeah, you got to run it off
Jill,
now.
what, half a rock? Yep.
You got it. You got it, Ray.
Here, AJ.
Raylene Rock, familiar surname, Rock, the wife of Marcel.
It's the perfect curling name as far as I'm concerned.
Whoa. Straight back? No, it's missed.
She got it inside.
Okay.
Yeah, she needed the outside of the stone. This is getting more and more difficult for Kathy King.
You don't like coming in on the out turn, that guard there.
You know, I'd like to put up another blocker.
I just don't know if I can get there with the intern.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a lot on the out turn. A lot of ice.
I think it's pretty good. Do you?
Yep. We know this team
How many
so
years?
well.
Yeah, we do. Ooh, that's a lot of ice. Oh, I think it's pretty good.
But
Halfway to tight.
why the problem with the intern?
Just halfway.
Whoa.
Get it
Well,
in now.
I think she could get there with the intern
Just
too.
over and stop.
Yeah, it's
Over
just, I
and
guess
stop.
it's curling hard, Vic, as it gets close to center, so they feel crossing center gives you a little bit better chance.
Yep.
We're pretty good here. That's a good shot.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a good way to come, too.
It is, for
And
sure.
the ice was good. Perfect.
Let's continue our updates with the game between New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. Andrea Kelly from the Capital Winter Club in Fredericton against PEI's Suzanne Goody out of Charlottetown. And Goody facing a bunch here, facing 5 with her last one. Trisha Affleck, Nancy Cameron the front end, Susan McInnes calling the line for Goody in her 3rd appearance. Needing to hit and stick right there.
Hey, Ray, that's good.
And that turns out to be a steal of 1, 2, 3, 4 for New Brunswick. 5-1 they lead as they go to the 5th.
It was interesting, you saw on the slide that Suzanne slid a little tight, Vic, and put the rock back, and we were talking about how the ice is a little straight. You cannot do
wanna
that.
just guard the
rock
guards?
will never come back for
Yeah, I
you.
just wanted to
That
guard.
was a tough one for Suzanne.
Conference time.
It's a nice position, though. The run back that was made left the redstone out front.
Try to come in on that out-turn side, we might be setting her up for something. As opposed to if we just throw a center guard up there, she's running, you know, she's still just clearing. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to have her
So
waste a
right
couple of shots
on
out there.
the center line almost.
Fine. Yeah, I guess.
Straight in line with that rather red one.
Yeah. I mean, we've got two nice come-arounds. We do have the out-turn come-around or the out-turn come-around this way, but I say keep her out of the rings for a while, have her keep firing away at this stuff.
Okay. Okay.
We heard them talk about the come-arounds. They could come around either side into this area here, or
Well,
come
you know,
around
she
this
has a
way.
point, 'cause if you did come in and say
Colleen
they made the double peel,
would
you
like
couldn't
to
guard
have
both
another
sides.
rock out in front, I think, is what she's decided.
Yes, she will.
Well, this particular call is all about timing. When do you want to come into the house with your second stone? If things stay the way they are, Colleen wants to wait a little longer and not leave Kathy King a good chance at rocks in the ring.
Whoa. Okay, good. That's fine. I just didn't want it to hit this yellow one.
Not much space there.
Like those two?
I don't mind that.
Sure.
Now, Ray, I'm just going to give another compliment to the leads because this really does emphasize the role of the lead. Nancy Delahunt puts a rock right in front of the button. Kathy King, the aggressive skip, puts up the corner.
Peel.
Good shot.
How much, huh?
Back with the center guard for Nova Scotia. The next stone, Alberta's second lead stone, is so important in some way to set things up for Alberta. And since then, that rock was missed. They've been bailing on every shot.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
We leads appreciate that from an
Roll it.
Olympic champion
Let it go.
skip.
That's fine. Well, it's still guarded.
1988 in Calgary.
Guard a run back, but that's hard to do, girls.
It is hard to
We're
throw
here in
those high
London,
guards.
Yeah.
20 years
And shorts
after our
throw.
first
Yeah.
visit
So could
here
you sleep
for
what
the
I just
Scott.
threw there?
Yes.
Ray, you and I back in 1986. Linda, you were here too, weren't you?
Some days. Wasn't here for the final, though.
Some days the team showed up and
I
sometimes
forgot.
it didn't.
You went home early, did
My
you?
team was here. I did. I left. Part of me left anyway.
Oh, you got a ton of weight. Okay.
That was Maryland's, Maryland Bodo's
That was the only
championship.
team we lost to the whole week.
Top 8. Top 12.
Sometimes.
Good kick.
That came way
I had a day like that the other day at the Granite. And I've been playing decently, and the other day I couldn't make a shot. I don't know why. Ice was perfect. Could
Still have that double peel.
never made a shot.
I like to
Can't
think
guard
it
both
made me a
sides.
stronger player. On the day, it wasn't
Doesn't
so
sound crazy,
good,
but it's a little stickier out there.
Nice come around there, Linda.
it was
Boy, I'll
good
tell you.
curl.
Yes, and that's because when I threw down there and Nancy said, you threw the same, I thought,
Back here.
oh, no. Close. Whoa.
Roll the shooter.
Ooh. I think, and this is not a criticism, but one of the things that I think that some of that the men, or let's put it this way, the men's teams do so well is read the ice on
didn't
those
quite
kind of
see your
run
ice.
backs
Is it here?
so well, Linda. And you just have to drive into your mind that when you're going to throw the up weight like that, you're not going to get any curl out of it. It's the surfaces we play on nowadays. When you throw and it's the running surfaces of the rock too, by the way. We just listen to them. But when you throw the up weight, so you can almost put the stick where you want to hit the stone. I mean, maybe not quite that with the women because they don't throw that huge weight. But it seems to me that all the run backs that are tried by a lot of the female teams are they're just taking too much ice for the weight they're throwing. Now,
I'd like to tuck it around that yellow a bit.
My men have the little advantage of being able to play so much weight.
Yeah.
They basically put the broom where they want to hit it.
Exactly.
Women take a little bit of ice, and you're right, sometimes take a little bit too
I
much.
think that you see it missed that way more often than the other, for example.
Tight.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa, whoa. If it's tight, whoa.
It's not. Yep.
Yep. Hurry. Gotta go.
You need this to curl now. This
Gotta
was,
go, guys.
she must have maybe got this outside a wee bit.
Hurry, quick. Hurry. Right till it stops, Atta girl. It's just heavier out here.
It is definitely, Kim.
It's just heavier out here. Yeah. You were smart to throw that.
Hitting those two like that.
Can you get through?
Then it opens up
I think there's a hole there, Vic, but
Oh, it's a feather, though, isn't it?
yeah. It's a tough one. She'll try and run this back. This is
So probably
the percentage shot for Kathy, I think. is
3/4 at least.
And let's watch how much ice she takes here. So she's got what? Wants to hit 3/4 of it.
Yeah.
And she's got about, what, 2 or 3 inches of ice, Linda?
Okay, Kathy, got it.
Yeah, about that. Lori's standing back further so she can see the angle better, so it's not right beside the rock, a little harder to judge.
Touch more.
Kathy King with the hammer. And this is her first here in the 5th. Nova Scotia, Colleen Jones leading 2-1.
No!
Great.
You know what's interesting? She took an extra inch from the hat.
I know, she had too much ice. Original ice was perfect. I mean, she threw it well. She threw it beautifully. That's just what we talked about.
You can get through both of them like that. It's okay.
See, these curlers, Vic, throw fairly straight, so
Might still leave a hole
and
in
they
your
hit
way.
the broom.
Mm-hmm.
In your case, the ice isn't quite as important
No.
because you don't hit the broom anyway.
If there's a broom lying on the sheet beside me,
Yeah.
I'll hit that.
Yeah, as long as we guard the center one.
Where do you go with this now?
Yeah.
She's guarding again.
Yeah.
You know, the tough part for Kathy King, you look at that and you see that Colleen has to think about which rock to guard, but if this rock guard coming
I
up,
can't guard them both. I'm either going to show her.
just listen
You know
to
what I
that.
think the best one to guard is?
the intern.
You still think this side's heavier than this
It
side?
depends. No,
Yeah.
this one's a little bit heavier. Depends which side you're drawing on. If you tap to take a draw with ice over here, it'll be a little bit stickier.
That far from the center.
So what I was going to say is Kathy's looking at that house, Vic, that one side of the sheet's all blocked up. So there's no easy draw to the button area on that side. So even if this guard isn't perfect, Kathy's options are really limited.
So less than what I just threw, right?
Yeah.
They look really focused, this team.
Whoa!
Yep. Help it
Just
along, help it
clean
along.
only! Clean only!
Yep.
Just
Line 2
clean.
without.
Just clean!
Whoa. Yep.
No.
Whoa.
No. Sit. Why would you ever want to sweep that?
Okay.
Is there any chance you could get through it, come through the hole, make the double and sit for 1?
I think so, Vic. It's a tough
The double's
port.
tough. The port's definitely there. You have to really be close to that.
Yeah, doubles there with the intern, eh?
You can, you just have to hair the guard.
Hair the guard is right.
You have to throw normal weight at it.
You can't play with the out turn, Vic, because you really
You
flirt
like the
with that
outer?
guard
You
too
can
much.
also throw the intern if you want.
No, I think I
Oh,
like
okay.
this better.
Okay. She's going to play the straight turn.
Because the way the guards are.
Well, you're going to have to be awful,
just have to
awful
hair
close
that
to this
outside
stone
guard.
here. Hair the outside guard is what she
Yeah.
talked about.
Okay,
She's going to play the straight turn, as Linda mentioned. Try and come through here. Be very close to that stone. Catch that. Hopefully catch this one as well.
The out turn's easier the way the port is staggered, but
Yeah.
it's just a little tougher to get by that guard.
So she's firing at one of them. But one would be nice.
Final stone here in 5. Got to find the hole, feather the guard, try and make the double. Kathy King, her last one not up. Brush to it. Get it by? No. And that'll be a steal of 2 for Nova Scotia. Here in the 5th. Nova Scotia will take a 4-1 lead to the break.
Sorry, guys.
And they're in the curling spirit here in London. And the ice rink outside Covent Garden. You've been watching Ray.
The 2006 Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN is brought to you by Sponge Towels, ready for real-life messes. The 2006 Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN is brought to you in part by M&M Meat Shops. Hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. By Tim Hortons Chicken Noodle Soup and Turkey Bacon Club Combo. And by Strauss.
We continue with Sandra Schmirler Day here this opening day of the 25th Scott Tournament of Hearts as we welcome you back. And we want to say thank you right away because in the first 5 ends we've gotten donations of over $98,000. So we say thank you to all of you and thank you for calling. As you can hear the phones ringing here. We have some 40 volunteers. As for challenges, we've had from the Nutana in Saskatoon a $1,300 challenge, from the Vancouver Curling Club $1,075 and $1,000 from the Comox Valley Curling Club. Thank you to everybody. Some team challenges. We mentioned earlier that Team Canada, Jennifer Jones, was challenging other teams here at the Scott. She's they've donated $100. Heather Strong from Team Newfoundland is contributing $125, and we've heard from Jeff Stoughton and his Manitoba champions from Winnipeg. They've donated $100, and we wish Jeff and his team all the very best when we see them at the Tim Hortons Brier in a couple of weeks in Regina. So we urge you to continue calling. Thank you very much, as of course all this is in aid of neonatal care across the country, as we continue with the Sandra Schmirler Day here at the Scott on TSN.
I'd be yelling if I was on that sheet.
Time now to check the numbers after 5. They're brought to you by Tim Hortons Limited, mug and canister. Linda?
A big turnaround in this game with that last end and that steal, but look at the percentages. Nova Scotia 88 to Alberta 75. I mentioned the leads. Nancy Delahunt at 93%. And Tracy Bush at 78. May not sound like a lot, but that has really made the difference, especially in that last end and that big steal of 2.
Yeah, well, you made a great point with those 2 shots, the early setup, and then Tracy unfortunately coming a little light, which you know added a little more problem to the situation, Linda. But you're right. I mean, if your lead is out curling the opposition lead, I'll tell you, you're in for a tough day.
So Nova Scotia throwing first, playing the Redstones, Alberta. Playing the Yellowstones with the hammer here in end number 6.
Fully in, fully in, fully in, fully in. Good, Nan. Whew. Good sweep, you guys. Okay. Okay. Corner guard.
Oh. Did you notice that? She's from Winnipeg, Tracy. Did you notice that? And you usually draw attention, everybody. I don't know why you were being so quiet.
I was just finishing off one of those bars I stole from you when you were gone.
My little granola bar. Huh?
Very good, by the way.
Hard.
Very
Get
nice.
over. Good sweeping, guys. Okay.
Shot. Nice weight.
But since you're talking about Winnipeg, we could talk a little speed skating.
Oh, yeah, great.
Cindy.
Clausen. Sarah Hughes today. Wonderful gold medal for Sarah, and another bronze. I believe that's 5 medals.
Unbelievable performances.
Line's nice. Line's great.
It's funny how you get such a great feeling of pride when you watch something like that. And then their personalities come out. Vic and I were talking about the personalities, and they just sparkle, those people.
Just one anthem with the flag going up and I'm gone. I'm on my couch. I'm crying. So proud.
Well, you should know. You've had that experience. I was there. It's still one of the most memorable moments I've had from '88. I was in that plaza. in Calgary.
It's a special thing to have happen to you, but it's so great to watch the athletes over at those Olympics and how many of them have done so well. And how many performances have been fourth place, so they don't get recognized in a medal, but they're tremendous, tremendous achievements.
Tracy trying to freeze this on the face now.
Are we on the front? Go behind it.
Kathy will sweep it to try and get it by the rock in the button now, try and get it, tuck it in behind, which will make it tough for Colleen to get at. So it turns out not to be a bad shot. The shot was called was to freeze on the face of the red stone sitting on the button.
I like the peel. On the corner?
That's the call.
Let me just think now. We had Colleen had a hit where we were almost made the double here, so this will come up.
This looks good.
Clean. Yep.
Just peel it, get it off of there, get the shooter out of play if you can.
Hurry, all the way over.
Want to remind everybody that our championship curling on TSN continues with the men and the Tim Hortons Brier. Ray, just make a note of the date. That's where we'll be in Regina. March the 11th it starts, okay? So put it in your book. Tim Hortons Brier from Regina.
And that's another fantastic field. We're going to see great curling there. It's an amazing time of year. We've been blessed with the Olympics and seeing that great curling, and now the Scott Tournament of Hearts and the Tim Hortons Brier.
Tapping it.
Yeah, it's because we got to be sweeping these, hey? And they're not curling.
What's that, Cap?
We got to use our sweepers because they're not moving.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting when you look at these teams in particular and the bounce back of these teams from the trials to be able to the disappointment, suck up the disappointment of not doing that and then winning their provinces. So those are just 4 of an outstanding field that'll begin play in Regina.
I can heartily await.
Go anywhere Pat's nose with firm.
There was a great comment by Kathy. She said to her Alberta squad that they've got to throw the draws to the brushers. It makes such a huge difference in the curl.
So that was there, that double.
Yeah, but both the stones, what you're talking about, Linda, both the draws that were thrown down, they were thrown a little bit heavy and got there on their own. And that's a good comment by Kathy. If we're going to get this angle freeze on, we have to throw to the brushers.
Good weight.
And we'll get a little late movement.
Line's good. Where is it? Gotta go on the floor. Fine.
Raylene Rock.
Whoa.
You don't want any bounce here. You don't want to bounce off this. You want to freeze on the face.
Sit.
They were calling out 4.
Okay.
That would have been a top 12 or a 5, a top 8, but it definitely had a lot more than that.
Gotta come to nose.
That fooled them a little bit.
Yep.
Were you not surprised, or when you listen to the Olympic curling and European teams now too? Do you remember how that Furby number system, in the space of what, 3, maybe 4 years, how that has been picked up by not only Canadian teams but European teams too?
But it just makes so much sense.
Get the back.
That Randy Furby's a smart guy. You know?
Nice shot.
Ooh, sneaky.
Good shot. Great shot.
It's funny, the number system, Vic, was used for many years in practice. Many teams used it to train their brushers to call out the correct place where the rock would stop. And that never translated to the game until somebody like a Furby team who became so successful used it regularly.
Okay, you go, Lori.
What a difference a shot makes. You take that last shot of Raylene's and freeze it on the face of that stone on the button instead of bouncing off that little ever so little bit. And this whole end is turned around. And now all of a sudden it's
falling.
No.
Okay.
That fell, eh? Fat guard.
All the games have reached the midway point as you take a look at Games on sheet A. Ontario with the lead.
Beautiful, yeah.
That's Krista Scharf out of Thunder Bay. Suzanne Goody, after giving up a steal of 4, has come back but trails 5-2. And BC and Kelly Scott with a 2-1 lead over Saskatchewan. And
Where?
Tracy
This little
Streifel
guy.
from the
Where?
Granite Curling
It
Club
should be
in
tight.
Saskatoon.
These young teams look good, Vic. We could have
Might
a
be
long
in.
Thursday.
Needs to come down.
Of course, we always say that.
Trying.
You're already
Good
into
girl.
the
Nice
playoffs, Ray. It's only the first game.
Remember the days when we were peace workers, Linda? We used to cheer for those tiebreakers.
Hey, Laura, you got
Now
it.
you were a peace worker then.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's see.
Linda and I'd be yelling down to the curlers, you know,
Throw the draw.
play the out turn.
Oh, it's normal. Yeah.
We want more work.
Yeah.
Burn!
Great chance here. This is the first one really where the guard wasn't perfect.
Roll it,
Laurie
Ray.
Armitstead
Roll it.
by 1.
Right over.
Runs it back
girl.
and by, and then rolls it in behind the center guard.
Atta girl. Sleeping. No dress.
That was normal, hey?
Would she have preferred to sit right there rather than that roll?
You're good.
No, the roll's nice. It's not all bad, that shot.
No?
Not at all.
She
Not
is
at all.
sometimes.
You make a mistake with the guard here now, and all of a sudden you're playing a hit for 2, right?
Straight guard.
Skip stones to come here in the 6th.
You know, Colleen could, if she wanted to, you know, she could play a hit on the red one and drive it onto the yellow, try and
Nice and
spit it
high,
off
guys.
that way, but she's afraid of maybe jamming it on the rock in the forefoot, so she's going to stay on the offense. Play the guard here.
And looking there too, Linda, they're lined up in such a way as if she had
Oh, I
to.
thought-
Alberta,
No, I
King
thought
could maybe
I,
drive the red onto yellow onto red.
Yeah, she might want to try it, Vic.
Less?
She's hoping there's a bigger mistake here so that she has a better chance at playing a rock in the house and saves that yellow top 12.
Whoa! I think we really need to shape it. Whoa! Yeah. Over and stop. Over and stop. Just over, Kim. I'm just making sure it's over. Clean it.
Kim never broke stride there.
Stop. Okay, good one.
It's a very long guard.
It is. I think she might have enough room to get by it with back
Just a little on the high
12-foot weight.
side, not much, eh?
Basically 7/8 today.
Just board weight, I think.
Okay. Right there?
Yep.
You
I
got
might
this.
take a little more.
Board weight or something.
Just a touch.
Just making sure they're comfortable and
Yeah,
clean.
It looks like there might be
So you're
enough room
trying
to
like
come
board?
around and just
Yeah.
tap it back very, very quietly, but she's decided
High side.
to
not
play
much.
this hit onto this one and try and
Well,
drive it
those
back
will
onto the
bounce
rock in the
into
forefoot.
open. If you go a little on the high side, we should be very.
And we're not sure how much that will curl in this, so there may not be a. It looks like the guard is so high that you could get by it close, but
It looks like it to me, but we do know as soon as you add any weight, it goes a lot straighter. This one you want to be sure to make good contact and not
Board
just
up.
leave a couple of reds guarding that perfect red stone in the button.
Close.
just playing it quietly.
1. And then we'll roll too far. Got a piece of it.
Had to curl a little bit more, Victor.
Stone is still covered.
Right in here, Nancy.
Pardon me, dear?
Right in here.
Well,
Go full on you.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. You need just come up another hair, you're good.
Here. Is that then we're giving her the easy draw.
Yeah, I like the guard. Right on the center line.
Yeah, I like the
Just
guard.
question how to get there.
Well, the guard is a shot here, but you will leave Kathy a raise.
I'm throwing at the guard.
She's playing
I mean,
the
we
guard.
could come in, but then I think we're giving her a shot. Not
well, the
necessarily
only thing
at 2.
she has is the
Where do you see that?
run back.
then she would have
run back.
She would have the run
Her
back
yellow
Way over there?
across.
right there.
I mean, we're just saying that's her.
And that run back would be for 2.
And I suppose she'll throw it that if I. And she'll have no choice.
That's their conversation right now.
Yeah, we better come right in, Nance.
Pardon me?
Oh, I hate to give her that draw to the
Here?
hole. No.
Here?
Coming around there. I like that come around. I don't like that, yeah.
You like coming to ours?
Yeah.
Got to be careful you don't set up a double though. Make it easier for her. That rock is totally buried.
It's easy to get by the very long guard. The thing you have to be careful is keep going, get it by the second one, and bury it partly so that
4.5?
you make sure you don't leave a double.
Drop her over to 4.8. See if that's right.
And this has been the spot where Alberta wasn't getting enough
Line's
curl.
nice.
They were bouncing off rocks, not coming to
Line's
the face
nice.
of them.
Final stone for Nova Scotia and Colleen Jones.
We're short.
Okay, whoa then.
Whoa. We're not going to guard anything, I don't think.
Well, you guard the draw, but she's going to play
that's
this.
true. Had a girl.
It's going to be beautiful line.
Smart and
Whatever, however you worded that.
she's playing the draw.
They seem surprised at this. What was the alternative
Well,
here?
the alternative is what we talked about before, Victor, is driving this
Right.
rock right there back onto that.
You think
Okay?
70?
And that
Yeah,
would
I'm
be for
thinking
2 points.
mid-70s.
Okay.
This is
Mid-70s?
what
Yeah.
they've said she's doing, is playing
70-ish, yeah.
playing through this hole here. A draw, single draw.
Okay, for 1 point. Linda, when you look at the scoreboard, is that dictating maybe why Kathy King's playing the draw? She needs to point here. If she gives up a steal, goes to 5-1.
Definitely, Vic, and she's so struggling, Vic, with those angles, hitting the right spot on those front stones to drive them into the house. I think she's scratching her head a little bit.
Where are we?
Close. We're close.
Yes, yes! Hurry! Hard!
Raylene Rock, Tracy Bush.
She's actually playing the raise to the force with the whole way, and it over curled.
Doesn't curl.
Doesn't curl, and it's a steal of 1 for Nova Scotia. 5-1 now.
That's why you
Colleen
can't
Jones
I figured
feeling
it
like
out
she may have
by
gotten
myself.
away with one.
Well, it was hard to tell what she was doing because she's holding the brush back on the tee line. But I think if you're going to play that raise back, I'm playing that to try and get the 2 points.
They weren't swept.
But after mine.
Let's update the game between Ontario and the Yukon Northwest Territories. And you see all the yellow stones. They belong to the team from Yellowknife. Carrie Cooey, Krista Scharf out of the Fort William in Thunder Bay. Scharf, who scored 4 in the second. And gets nothing. So it's a steal of 3. And suddenly that lead is gone. Yukon Northwest Territories up 6-5. Well, a steal of 1 by Nova Scotia in the 6th has Colleen Jones in front 5-1 over Alberta and Kathy King as we go to the 7th, and Alberta playing the Yellowstones with the hammer. All right, some debate there of what maybe King was really playing.
Yeah, I really don't know. I corrected, I think, what I thought everybody was feeling, and that she was drawing because she was so far over. She took so much ice and it went so straight. But in their conversation at the end, I think maybe she was drawing.
Yeah, we're top 12.
Trying to get through the hole.
Trying to get through the hole and just took too much ice.
Kathy Gauthier.
Well, it's interesting. I talked to the coach before the game about what he felt the difference would be this year because it's an intact team. And what they decided is they didn't want to waste any ends, any games this year. They felt the key was going out hard with the front end and trying to get an advantage. And as we've seen, Linda, when you've looked at the comparison, it's been a great approach. The problem has been, it has been the front end of Nova Scotia, far outplaying so far the team from Alberta.
9, 10.
there's really been no setup by Alberta. I guess the one end that confused me a little bit, and I don't know if Kathy will think back to it, she blanked 4 when she had a chance with her first stone to try and set up a deuce. Other than that, there has been no real chances out there for Alberta to set things up.
It's been execution, though, Linda.
It has been execution.
They had a couple of chances to angle freeze in rocks in position, and they just were a little heavy, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's, you know, we all go through that. It happens. They just haven't made anything work. They, as Kathy so clearly said, they've been out-curled. We're still not sure what she was playing in that last one, but
no.
I thought she was drawing through the hole as you did. And I think if I was going to play that raise, I would have played it with a little more weight to try and score my 2 points.
Roll your shooter. One smack on in a jam. Okay. That one just had that all over it.
No chance here. Kathy King to get a rock angle frozen on that front one.
Do you like this?
Right there. Yes, we do.
There is a long corner guarding the 8 foot. There you see it. Edge of the 4, maybe.
Which way do you like? I think I like coming the same way Tracy did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It moves nice at the end.
Okay, you got this.
You got it, Ray J. Okay.
7. Tight. Gotta go for line. Gotta go for line. Hard for line. Hard for line.
Tracy Bush, Laurie Armitstead picking it up.
Get it by.
Have to get it by that stone top edge of the 8.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. You know, that's really close to just smack. I think it hit him.
Sneaking a peek at what's going
On
on
my
between
side
New
of it.
Brunswick and PEI. You see the yellow stones.
Yeah.
They belong to PEI, trailing 5-2. Final stone now on its way from Andrea Kelly. Three-time provincial junior champion, Canadian junior champion. 2005, making her first appearance at the Scott Tournament of Hearts.
Whoa! Atta girl.
Now the angle just set up so perfectly for Colleen. That's kind of
Steal of 1 for PEI.
rubber the green.
Tap this back.
You could afford a little
Well,
more.
again, Vic, we saw a lot of rocks in play on that other sheet, so we are seeing teams take some chances. I am noticing still a lot of freeze attempts, and that may be something when we look at this sheet and how many times Alberta and Kathy King have tried to set up the corner guard. And Ray, I can't remember it really being a factor except to really block any draw attempt Kathy had late in the end to try and save an end. So that's one thing these teams will analyze as the event goes along. There's a nice little roll, maybe got behind cover, but you have to always be analyzing where to place those guards, where we'll be able to get around them and use them.
Well, the reason, Linda, also the reason that they haven't been able to use those corner guards is because they haven't been getting the angle freezes in the positions to be able to force your opposition to maybe play the hit, get rid of the rocks, and then they're gone, and you go in behind the corner. So and that's it's one it's one thing leads to the other is what it does.
Oh.
Good rushing.
That's nice curling too, Vic.
Sit.
A little pocket back there. You don't like that forming up.
She did look a little wide there, didn't she, on the close to the center?
Come off of this. Back line. Okay.
Be interesting to see how much ice she takes here, Lou.
What do you think of that?
You got it. Where it is.
So she's expecting about 2.5 feet of curl only here.
Hack, close. Close, yeah. Hard.
Once again, Rock and Bush
Hard.
looking for a little hit and flip.
Hurry.
No, she was playing the freeze to the back ones, Victor. She wants to get by there. There she is.
And now she'll roll over and sit on the corner, pulling the forward a lie shot.
Yep. Nice weight. So just nice regular should do this?
I think regular's good, Kim. 10-ish.
During that last shot, we did hear Kathy call down the ice to ask her thrower, Lori, if she liked the amount of ice. That does mean Kathy is struggling a bit reading it right now.
Is the ice changing?
Did change a little bit from practice, Vic.
But Victor, you were right and I was wrong. She was playing the quiet little tap back. I thought her first indication was just to freeze down in there or move it back a few inches.
It's got a piece of center. It seems to stay, but boy, once it goes over there, she'll be gone by. Okay with that?
Accepted.
Hey. We are a team, aren't we, Vic?
We are.
On that red scarf.
I can be right once.
The ugly.
Then she had many other.
No, you were 100% correct there. She first talked about just tapping, coming down, freezing or tapping it very little, but she ended up playing back 12 foot, almost light halfway.
No!
Where are they going here, Linda? Right down in the face of this one?
Guys, it's way out there! Leave it high. Just leave it high.
Lori Armitstead, the head of phys ed at Paul Kane High School.
Okay.
Yep.
And that will stop in time to be shot stone, but it's wide open.
That side, right?
Like
so
nose? I'm thinking we
nose
have
isn't
to.
bad because then they have to move it to be shot, right? You could actually just even come there a bit.
Yep.
It did point out what I was talking about, though, Vic. Did you see how close that draw that was just played came to the corner guard? So even though the corner guard looks pretty wide, because the ice goes straight, and then dives at the end, that's why the positioning of those guards is tough when you start to play the draws and come-arounds.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen anything out there yet, so I wasn't sure what it was going to do. Yeah, but it's close. Good if she sits right here and gives a chance to freeze on something. Absolutely. Well, I was thinking even with mine, we could have played a little tap with the front one just so that we had some pocket or whatever, but then they sit 4 back here, you know.
Nice throw. Close. Yep. Whoa. I'm rolling away here. Yep. Yep. I like the little flop here is real nice. Okay.
And that's what they get, right over on the corner.
Okay, that's lovely. Okay. That's what you're going to do. Nice shot.
Now can Kathy King use it?
Sure she can. Right down on the face of it, just kind of touch it slightly and rearrange them.
All different here. I'm not sure where to put this. Should be close, I think.
Now that's another great comment, because we've been talking about Kathy struggling reading the ice, but it sounds like she's getting a lot of different releases thrown at her, and that makes it tough to pinpoint the spot, Vic, to put down that broom.
Well, she said, I'm not sure.
And one of the things when you're an aggressive skip, look how many red stones are in the house, all those Nova Scotia stones. It looks great for Colleen. You also have to, if you're Kathy King, have a pretty steely nerve to go down and throw to the button a freeze against that many. Now, she is the kind of skip that knows she has to save, but the tough part is if you're not sure about the ice, you really don't feel that confident in playing this style of end.
So it is.
Kathy King in her first here in the 7th, trailing 5-1.
Line's good.
Oh, it's not curling. Stay close, yep. No, no. Line only. No, nothing. 7.
A little bit of a bounce, but grabs enough of the button to sit shot stone.
Curl that a bit, same thing.
The nose hit gets rid of it.
Wait at it. The nose will do it too.
Yeah, nose will do it as right.
Just didn't want to come. That was great weight.
Yeah, perfect. You guys like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Frustrating for Kathy King, Linda. I know it's draw 1, and Heck, we saw at the trials Shannon Clybrink get off to a difficult start, but you want to have the feel from the get-go, don't you?
And last year, Vic, they got off to a poor start, 1-3, and that's the kind of start that, as I said, she's the kind of skip that needs the confidence, getting on a roll, reading the ice well. Because she's so aggressive, you have to get that confidence early, and this is a fairly big game and a big start for both these teams.
Whoa. 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 Clean. Clean. Yeah. It's real nice. Girl. Just clean. Good
and
girl.
there they go.
That's a great shot.
Boy.
Very nice shot.
And look what's left.
Nice shot.
Just draw the pin.
Now you just slide down and say to your opposite, your turn.
And look what she's facing here. Count them up.
Stop it.
Look at
That's
that. 1,
last, eh?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And the beauty, Vic, is the one top 4, almost touching the button. That's what you have to outdraw.
They always like making
So you're
the other
facing
skipper go
6.
out of the
You don't have a great deal of confidence. Now you draw on all that experience. Down 5-1, final stone here in 7.
You gotta go.
Right out of her hand, you hear her. Gotta go. Now go hard. Raylene Rock, closest to the stone. Tracy Bush out in front.
To the button, line's great.
Right to the button.
Line's great.
Armistead says it's fine. Feather the guard. Did they oversweep? It's got to stop in time. Nancy Delahunt is there. 1, too far for 2. It's a steal of 2 for Nova Scotia in 7.
Sorry, guys.
7-1. Colleen Jones leads Kathy King.
Felt like I threw 10.
The year was 1999. She won her first Scott in 1982 and had been back a dozen times, but she had never won a second championship. But in 1999, Colleen Jones in Charlottetown ended 17 years of disappointment with an improbable championship. Colleen Jones wins her second Scott. Memorable moments are brought to you by Scott Paper Limited, proud sponsor of women's curling for 25 years. Hello, Scotty.
That could be you in there, Vic.
It was one year.
I know.
Sorry, Colleen.
That was a classic.
But you would never lose your credibility
No,
doing that.
of course not. No. Oh, dear. As we welcome you back, it's our opening day of coverage of this year's Scott Tournament of Hearts from the beautiful John Labatt Center here in London, Ontario.
Well, going back to Kathy's draw, that was really just a brushing error, and that happens lots. Kathy, when she released it, said to the brushers, oh, I've thrown a lot less. I know it's hard not to be brushing when you hear the person say that, but the brushers have to judge that themselves. Kathy thought she'd underthrown it, and the brushers jumped on it. They hammered it almost halfway down or 3/4 of the way down, and then all of a sudden it got to the top of the ring, so you can see it starting to slide.
I like the long one myself.
I know.
She doesn't like that for the
A
skip,
steal of
maybe.
2 is the result of that.
You could maybe hit and roll in.
But that's also, Linda, the indicative of the struggles that Kathy's having. I mean, she says out of her hand, it's light.
Yeah, she didn't have the feel. And it's interesting because we just talked about the fact that you want to get on a good start, want to get on a good roll. This game is all about Nova Scotia right now. Colleen Jones looking so fresh, so ready. And Alberta not. So you're going to have to turn it around if you're Alberta, Vic. It's those little things that make the difference at the end of the week. The brushing calls, the feel on draw weight, the key shots that just aren't being made at the moment by Alberta. And that is where experience comes into play. You just have to shake it off.
Need help? We're okay, one. Even if you can, as far as you can go.
Got it, girl.
Good weight.
We have our first final on this opening draw, and New Brunswick, wow. They crack a couple of fours. One in the fourth, one in the eighth, 9-3. As Andrea Kelly from Capital in Fredericton wins over Suzanne Goody out of Charlottetown PEI.
Good. Way to go.
Well, we talked in, Lynn and I talked in our opening comments about the young teams and the inexperienced teams, and we mentioned Suzanne Goody, of course, and it was hard to tell sometimes what you're going to get from Suzanne, because you don't. She can be very, very good, and sometimes she just isn't, isn't with it, kind of. And she really struggled today. Going back to the big 4 points she gave up, for example, to New Brunswick. We were questioning the amount of weight she threw on that when they're lying, four rocks around the rings. You got to be a little careful about throwing that up weight to make a hit and stick for one. She rolled out and gave up 4. Hindsight's a great thing. You can see it after the fact, but Suzanne's a very good player, and she's got a good feel for this game, but she's got to put it in action. You can't leave it at home. Nice win for that young team, though.
I've watched Andrea Kelly played a couple of national juniors, and they're a very good team. We just suggested that maybe the experience would be a problem, but not so today.
Well, Kelly comes out of New Brunswick, where she beats Heidi Hanlon in their provincial final. The player comparisons are brought to you by Alexander Keith's. Those who like it a lot.
And you're going to like a lot Kim Kelly's numbers at 91%, a former MVP. Now, Lori, you have to say for the Alberta squad that the numbers at third are also indicative of what happened earlier at lead and second. Shots not being made translate down the line, and Lori's had some really tough doubles and runbacks to play.
Might be tapping out. I think we're through.
Well, the Nova Scotia force has done a great job of defending this lead for sure. A couple nice double peels.
Okay.
Kathy, of course, looking for a jam out of one of these, maybe, and can pick up a couple of points.
Regular. Yeah. Back. Heel. Right up. Hurry. Hurry. Quick.
Did you want peel? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Although it looked pretty firm by the time it got here, but I don't know that she was throwing. No.
Sneaking a peek. The Northwest Territories Yukon against Ontario. Remember now that it was Carrie Cooey from Yellowknife who stole 3 in the 6th against Krista Scharf from the Fort William in Thunder Bay, and so now this is the final stone for Scharf, making her first appearance at the Nationals, the former Northern Ontario junior champion, and a big scrub. And they'll wreck out in front with Lorraine Lang and Tiffany Stubbings on the brush. And so it's a steal of 2 more. 5 stolen points in the last 2 ends, 8-5. Carrie Cooey leading.
Well, 2 big stories here. Kathy King, numbers very low. She hasn't really had the feel. Also has had very difficult shots. But look at Colleen Jones racing along at 88% and perfect on her draws. The lady we often say plays such a good hitting game is showing us she's got everything here this year, including her draw weight.
Wow, was that real firm? Because it was real straight. I mean, I guess that's not a big. Yeah.
That one really took off with sweeping weight.
Real steady.
So did I,
Yeah.
And I thought maybe I overthrew it, but they said it wasn't.
No,
It
I
was
mean, you
firm,
have to
but
throw.
not
When you've got
peel.
rocks sitting like
Yeah.
that, girlie, you don't want to be throwing 11 and a half.
Right.
I liked the weight, and I just thought that's why I called the sweep. The throw was
Yeah,
good, I
yeah.
thought.
You move a little. You got it.
Attempted freeze here.
And you may look at the score and say, well, Alberta's not really in this game, but this is when Kathy needs to make a few shots. You don't want to leave this game not feeling like you've got a handle on the ice. So this is a big shot for her to make a nice freeze.
Right here. There. Right to my broom. Yeah, right to it. Right to it. Mine's great. Yep. Hard.
They need something. They're down 7-1. That's nice.
That's a great shot. Shows her she knew where to put the broom.
What was
and
that?
she has the feel for the weight.
That would be an on-legger, is that right? Isn't that what's the German word
it.
for freeze?
An on-legger.
Thanks.
You could have acknowledged that I was right. Nice freeze. That's a great shot.
They're pretty welded. Not only new glasses, but you just got a glimpse of new shoes
Right to it. Clean.
for Colleen Jones this year.
Yep.
Usually had the
Wall clean.
mismatched
Yep.
shoes, but she's got the new shoes as well.
Yep.
I just want to keep the angle to be shot.
Perfect.
Wow, very nice.
Oh, sorry, Kathy.
Very nice is right.
There they are. Still has the tape over to help slide to reduce drag, I suspect.
But nice new looking tape, Vic.
Yes.
Nice and shiny.
Great throw. Squirt it, but
I'll tell you one thing, that every team at this event is looking at that scoreboard and thinking, oh no, here comes Colleen Jones. Another good year.
That's right.
it's up to you.
Gonna
Wanna
try it, I
or-
guess.
Do you like that? I don't know. I think it kind of squirts, but
Yeah, we'll try it.
okay.
Well, they're hoping to get the drag that the Yellowstone goes back onto the red. It looks like it's going to miss it a little bit.
Natural peel at it to hit 7/8 of it, try and bounce it out, and try to save the back one. Like, we're not playing for one, we're playing for two.
Shows you how important that call of brushing was by Nancy Delahunt in the house to try and get the better angle red onto yellow to make this shot so tough.
Whoa, nope.
Quickly out of her hand.
Play the pick.
Down 7-1.
Whoa.
Close. Yeah.
Could it be game here?
Whoa.
She wants to score 2 if she can,
Atta girl.
Good.
and she'll get her single. 7-2 through 8. And Nova Scotia and Colleen Jones will have the hammer back. It's the Scott Tournament of Hearts, day 1 from London, Ontario. For the 12th year in a row, the Ford Hotshots is part of this year's Scott Tournament of Hearts, and the winner gets a 2-year lease on a 2006 Ford Explorer XLT. You try to make 6 shots, maximum 5 points, down to 1. More than 40 players began play, and we're down to the final 8, including Tara George of Ontario, Colleen Jones, Marianne Arsenault from Nova Scotia, Jennifer Jones from Team Canada, Janet Harvey, Jill Thurston from Manitoba, Heather Strong from Newfoundland, and Jody DeSola from New Brunswick. Good luck in the Ford Hotshots. Well, our volunteers are working hard on the phones on this Sandra Schmirler Foundation Day. We urge you to call. We've got a terrific call and a terrific challenge from Randy Furby and his team out of Edmonton. They are going to donate $1 for every point scored this week. And right now, we are up to 42 points scored so far in this opening draw. And Furby is challenging all the other men's teams across our country to match their donation $1 per point. Now, there's also a challenge for you in this, Linda. They want you to keep score.
So I think I can do that.
And being the numbers person, statistically
Nice weight.
speaking, you can then keep us up to date. So we're at 42, and we thank Team Furby for doing that. And by the way, Dan Holowachuk, who's been their longtime fifth, has donated $50, and he's challenging all fifth players across the country to make a donation. So thank you very much to all.
Halfway. It's tight.
Randy didn't trust me with keeping track of that.
He thought you might add a few dollars on
I
there.
can't understand that.
Oh, it's much appreciated. It's a great cause.
Yeah, wonderful.
Just do it. Just a freeze then.
7-2 Nova Scotia leading as we go to the ninth. And Nova Scotia, Colleen Jones playing the Redstones, has the hammer.
Just about half a rock. On Nancy's side.
Pretty close, I think. Kim?
Yeah.
Oh, not quite.
Just that extra weight and lots of rotation, which is perfect when you're playing the peel, just made it run that much straighter. Didn't quite get the double.
What you got? Need help? Yeah. I think we're okay though. No, it's picking. I picked. Oh, come on.
Get it there, ladies.
Well, I like the determination because when it caught something, it went really sideways and it looked like it was going to stop. They valiantly tried to get over the hog line, but would not make it.
I'll keep cleaning it, yeah.
You can see it just start to go sideways now. It picked something, obviously, and took the weight, any weight that there was in it. It was close anyway, but they tried so hard to get it over there, but no way. Chance to peel now the other stone.
Nice shot.
Hey, Lori, you got it.
It's halfway.
Halfway. So 90 should be close.
You
Shouldn't
got it. Yep.
Lori Ormstead is a three-time provincial junior champion.
Oh.
Just cleaning.
Right even. Even. Even, yep. Hard. Hard, hard, hard. Okay, good. Oh, shot.
Kim Kelly. Really tough to come back, isn't it, against a team like this?
Yeah, there's been so many mistakes by Alberta, too. They had chances, as Ray has mentioned, opportunities to make freezes and come-arounds, and they just were the wrong side of it. Made it that much easier for Nova Scotia to pick them out.
What was that? What was that?
Hang on. I got 90.
The game story is brought to you by the Strauss Herb Company. Trust the tradition.
There really has been those misses by Alberta. That's led to steals, fifth end, sixth end. We don't really know if that was a tap back or a draw, or even in the sixth end, as Kathy King really had trouble reading the ice. And then in the seventh end, another steal. So early misses by the front end of Alberta means that Kathy King has really struggled with getting her points today.
Yeah, but sometimes a skip can bail you out. right? I mean, is her struggles a direct result of the misses?
Well, in many cases, Vic, it just increased the degree of difficulty. But as you're saying, Kathy really has also had trouble with the feel and even reading the ice.
I mean, how many times did your skip bail you out, Ray, when you were not playing well?
Never got my skip in trouble, Vic.
Okay.
No, of course, you saw a great example of that.
It's almost the same kind of spot that we were
at the
drawing for
Olympics
that
when
freeze
Shannon
on the
Clybrink
other
end
end,
after end
so
and game after
can
game
afford a
really
little less.
helped her team and got them out of trouble throughout that round robin and the semifinal in particular, when you know, Amy was sick and you know, they were struggling, and so you're right, a skip can do that, but we talk about this all the time. It's a game of percentages, and if you eventually have to keep doing it, you run out, and you just can't do it anymore. It just doesn't happen. You can't do it all the time. And Shannon Clybrink curled phenomenal all week long. She was there.
You know that Kathy will have a chat with the team, try to regroup, get it back on track for tomorrow, and that's the nice thing. They have a chance to think over the way the game went, Vic, if it continues the way it is now, and try to figure out how to make it that much better tomorrow, because we know how skilled this Alberta team can be.
Great sweep. Sweep. Great sweep, you guys. Good job. Good sweep. Good shot.
Well, the people in Grand Prairie, Alberta will have a chance to see the Olympic gold medal winner. Annette Norberg will highlight a great field at the Ford Women's World Curling Championships. Our coverage begins Saturday, March 18th, and now as well as Annette Norberg, there is Doherty Nordby from Norway, and Andrea Schopp from Andrea's back from Germany. Yeah.
You know, that's one interesting thing that we're chatting about the World Championships in Grand Prairie, Vic, because I am wondering if that's a little extra pressure on Kathy King. I think she'd really like to be in that World Championship in her home area, and you wonder, that's been talked about a little bit, that Kathy wants to win this battle.
Andrea Schopp, didn't she beat Heather Houston for her World Championship?
First one in 88?
88, I think. And then Heather came back and won it in,
in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, dear.
You're proud of these moments, aren't you? Okay. When you see things clearly.
The other thing, too, is I was going to mention the thing about Alberta being the host, but also, Vic, now internationally we have to realize how tough it will be for whomever wins this championship to go and capture the gold medal at the Games.
Okay.
That was a nice throw.
Nova Scotia with the hammer, but the miss by Colleen.
Well, that rock's just half in the 12-foot, so
Tap again.
Kath will try and find a spot to put. Do you want to make her draw, or do you want to make her try and hit the stick? I mean,
But I mean, she still has all this. I like this.
Okay.
You like that?
I think so. The only problem is trying to get it to stop it halfway into the 12.
I don't mind it.
You got it.
we're going to try and put the rock half in the 12-foot and half out of the rings, hoping that maybe Colleen will try and draw, go around, and if he hits it, she won't be shot. But
See, Ontario and
we can't get
Krista
to
Scharf
them.
have got one back in the 8th.
Are you going to try and go
That's the
around
final.
it?
New Brunswick and BC and Saskatchewan are tied 4-4 playing the 9th.
Well, we're trying to get into the top 12 here.
Yeah.
So she hits, and we still won.
Yeah.
If they go around, we might get 12. So maybe
The question here is, with the score, Vic, the way it is, Colleen would just hit the open one, so you're only going to get one. This is desperation time.
Like right here? Yeah.
she was going to play it
like
right kind of there.
And
And
the
now
only
they
problem is
decided
setting up with, like,
to
you know,
go around,
Nice. We had here.
make her draw. You're right,
like here?
Colleen would hit this one and give up the single maybe. But if you get her to miss a draw, you could maybe get 2.
Yeah. Right there.
If
Yeah.
she misses it.
Okay.
I don't like your chances.
A little more
Okay,
weight.
go back 12 with it.
Which one do you like, Linda? Which option would you play? Desperation.
Yeah, I actually like this call.
Yeah, I would try to make her force her to draw. Things can happen when you're drawing. Rocks can pick things. If you get it buried, then Colleen's going to have to draw.
Don't want to touch it. No.
Back 12.
It's back 12.
Whoa, room
Don't
is
touch
great.
it.
Line is great. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, sorry. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Not quite that far.
No, she's just struggling.
Great line, Kath.
It's a little slicker out in the sides.
I got a 6.
Now that's the side that is closest to the stands, Ray, the hotter air. That's also closer to where you're sitting. And I'm
You're not accusing Ray.
no. And now would it
Hot air, is that what you're talking about?
Would that have affected that draw?
There hasn't been a lot of play over there, so I don't think the pebble is broken down. It doesn't look like there's any frost out there, so no, I just think she just threw it. You know, she's trying to get it to the back 12 foot, and she threw it, what, 6 inches too far? 8 inches too far? It's just been one of those days for Kathy. It's just nothing's working. You go right back to the second end where she had to hit stick for 2, and she missed that. She hit and rolled out, and you know, then from that point, it's kind of nothing worked for her.
13-9, it should be fine.
Let's put on some sliding. Good
Nice shot, Colleen. Yes.
One it is. And that's all it is. As Alberta and Kathy King will shake hands after 9.
Thanks, Ray. Have a good week.
And a very solid start, to say the least. Colleen Jones and Nova Scotia make the final 8-2.
It's been a good day. I'm exhausted. Me too.
Jennifer Jones. Manitoba's Janet Harvey. That's our featured game, and we join you again this evening at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Both Canada, Team Canada, the defending champions, and Manitoba with the byes to open up this year's Scott Tournament of Hearts, so they'll be making their first appearance on the ice here at the John Labatt Center. Colleen Jones is a winner in her first game, 8-2 over Alberta, and Colleen's with Kathy.
Colleen, by rights, you should be tired coming back from Italy. You look terrific. What's been the key?
It was all the Italian pasta, I think. Ate a lot of that, so maybe I carb loaded. I slept well for a change. You know, the jet lag didn't really bother me, so I feel great. And luckily, we only have one draw today, so the draw favored us as well. So,
Colleen, talk to us about the Olympic trials. Obviously a disappointment. How did you rebound? Because, boy, you look like a different team out here.
well, you know, we have a lot of confidence in each other and our ability, and I think we all know that we can play our positions really well. And we maybe overthought the Olympic trials too much. We maybe tried too hard, and sometimes when you try too hard, bad things happen. You know, you just have to let it go, let it flow in curling a little bit, make your shots. It's not as difficult as you think it is. And so after the Olympic trials, you know, we all kind of went, and then we said, you know, we get to try to go to the Scott again, and how great an opportunity is that to come and play in this building. Just gives me goosebumps. So I'm so glad we rebounded, and I think that's one thing this team has always been about, is just, you know, get kicked in the teeth and come back again.
Good luck the rest of the week.
You're welcome. Yes, thanks. We'll need that.
8-2, Nova Scotia winner. As we turn our attention right next door to the game between British Columbia and Saskatchewan. That yellow stone that's just nuzzled in there, that's thrown by the Saskatchewan skip, Tracy Streifel, as we're playing skip stones. BC skipped by Kelly Scott from Kelowna. They're playing the red, and red is shot but surrounded. Saskatchewan playing yellow, and it is BC in this 4-4 tie that has the hammer in the ninth.
Well, Colleen's comments were really interesting, and she wasn't the only one. You think of Randy Furby, and you think of the teams that were there that really struggled, teams that you expected not to struggle. You know, it's so many of them. And sometimes you maybe do overthink a situation, but then there's never any answer why it happens at the certain times, you know.
Would we even try to flop a bit?
So there is somebody else trying to bounce back from those Olympic trials. That's Kelly Scott. Tough position in a way for her right now, although she has the hammer and there's some rocks in play. She really doesn't want to be forced into a single this end.
No.
And there's just that lone red stone right now.
Well, you gotta think strong now, because there's the thought of a blank end, I think, is almost gone with that long center guard out there. So try and find her second point if she can. Hits this right on the nose. The yellow will then tick the red one. That's her own stone. And
that red is not going to spin much. So just easy, like a 10, I think.
There it is.
All right, so I'm sorry, you hit this yellow, and the red will go where?
It'll go back onto the other yellow, but it won't. She's not going to throw very much weight, Vic, so it's going to sit right on. It should sit right on the butt.
Okay.
Maybe move the other yellow to the open a bit.
She needs to free up the space in the forefoot, Vic. She needs to find a way to get her next one in there, and this is the best way to do it.
Whoa, hard on the yellow one.
She want to hit more of it.
So red, BC continues to lie one, and BC does have the hammer.
Yeah. Well, how's she gonna get it then, I guess?
Right.
She's gonna be able to, if she draws straight here though. She's got that. Here she have to get a bit of a roll.
This is an easier draw for me, just to come and sit into here. You're right, she's got that all day, but even if I go to this side, she's got that all day. So
Which all day?
well, she's got this too.
I think this is harder for her than this. This she might get off of us though.
Yeah. Well, can I come in, do you think? Can I get to the inside, little flop there? That's what I like. Yeah, I think that's the shot. Oh, yeah.
You've heard the comment from the curlers.
Okay.
Kelly will always have this here, draw there.
Is that going to be enough?
That's
yeah,
fine.
that should be
Going
good.
to try and sit this rock right in here. That.
It's T-line weight, and let it work in off of our yellow one. I have to get about half of it and roll in.
What she's talking about.
No,
there.
T-line weight.
T-line right here.
Well, you guys, I'll throw that, and you guys can sweep it.
This Tracy Streifel team from the Granite Curling Club in Saskatoon. Their resume is quite thin.
Blank, yeah.
Yeah, there isn't much to it. They're making a first appearance. There's no junior history to any of the players. Roz Tanner at third, Christian Vidal's at second, or Andrea Rudelier. But they beat Dolores Serrata 7-5 in the provincial final, and she's here in a 4-4 tie in this opening draw with BC and Kelly Scott.
And if she can hold the BC to a single point here, is what she's trying to do. She'll come home one down with the brick, with the last rock, and that's not an awful situation.
Rudelier, Vidal's. And now it's still BC lying one, but what has she left?
Lost it at the end there a bit.
Well, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting.
I
She
think
in some way
moved
blocked
it over
both
a bit,
sides.
yeah.
Not at all what they were looking for. It did overcurl the call.
Yeah. Weight is good.
She had lovely weight.
You can't just hit that one on the nose, on the yellow sort on the nose, because it's going to come across and
That's what I was
jam.
wondering. Is that kind of... I don't think we can bounce them to shot, though, can we? It'd only be for one, if anything. Like this could go to there and then spin through even.
WYT! Hey, WYT! CY! CY!
you can see what they're saying here is that if they hit that one there, it'll come off of this one here and jam right onto there.
on timeout, so they're just waiting for the coach to give them a suggestion on that angle.
I don't know, like, do we just...
This is where the big weight can really help you.
It's safe enough to even it's their easiest way to do it.
Jerry Richard out there, Michelle Allen, the fifth player, trying to help them
Do we
out.
try for 2 and the most they get is 1, which isn't terrible either.
That's a good point, Kelly.
I don't think we can give them 1 as long as we hit it high side. I think the only way we can get them 1 is if we get past nose, right?
So we want to just kind of graze that, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just almost try to go through. Unless we hit it really too thin and hit it dead on hand, we gotta be careful.
A little less weight than what I just had then, just to let it come up a bit. Or the same.
Coach Jerry Richard, a
Like
former
9'5"?
Canadian world champion with Rick Folk back in 1994. He's been coaching a number of years now, Linda, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has with this team. His daughter is the third, and he's a great player, so it's been a good combination. It's interesting that Kelly often recently has been so strong with her draw game, but the game today has dictated more hits for her.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa!
Nothing. Punched it right through. For a single point for BC. And so Saskatchewan holds Scott to just the single. Saskatchewan will have the hammer. The last rock coming home. We have a couple of final scores on this opening draw of the Scott Tournament of Hearts here in London. Steal of 1, steal of 2, and Colleen Jones goes on to an 8-2 win over Kathy King and New Brunswick. Look at the 2 4s in 4 and in 7. New Brunswick and Andrea Kelly from Fredericton, a winner over Suzanne Goody from Charlottetown. Ontario is playing the Yukon Northwest Territories on sheet A. And this one has gone back and forth. This is Krista Sharp from Fort William in Thunder Bay playing Carrie Cooey out of Yellowknife. And this is the skip Cooey. Making a third appearance at the Scott Tournament of Hearts. Went 2-9 in 2001, 4-7 last year. Out of the Yellowknife Curling Club against Sharp. Making her first appearance. Angle raise needed and not enough. And so that is 1, 2, and 3. A steal of 3 to regain the lead 9-8. Remember earlier, Ontario had given up a steal of 5 points. That's just flat out weird. 5-4 as we go to the 10th, and as Ray suggests, the all-important hammer belongs to Saskatchewan, playing the Yellowstones.
No, let it bend as much as we can.
That's one of those
here.
situations that you heard Kelly Scott say, it wouldn't be so bad if we gave them one, then we'd be one down with the hammer. But Saskatchewan now has got the corner guards up in front, and
the first stone at the end came a little deep by the BC lead, then the corner. Then BC tried to come around the corner to cut off the path. That dropped short, unfortunately, for BC, because that was a double corner now left up for Saskatchewan. And now BC don't have a lot of choices.
see a lot of rocks in play in this end.
Clean. Top room, line's not bad. Top 8, top 4. Line's nice, no bounce. Where are we? You're past this yellow. Your line's nice, no bounce. Oh, line's getting okay. Oh, great shot, Sash.
That was a pretty nice shot. Got a good angle on that Yellowstone. Red at the back. His shot, then
Play
the
down to
yellow.
that.
That is a good shot, Linda. That placement of that shot that's a good shot. You can always maneuver that around. Because the Yellowstone was very much so buried.
Kristen Riddles.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I was saying Riddles earlier, but it's
Is it
Kristen
4?
Riddles.
We're out here.
So
Where is it?
apologies to Kristen.
Yeah, put top 4 is good. Just top 4. Right here.
Hey, just on its own. There we go. That's good. Shot.
Well, former Crazy Canuck Ken Reid makes a special appearance on a new episode of Corner Gas, Monday at 8, 7 Central on CTV.
Yep. Hard. Hard. Hurry.
He's trying to pick it out.
Hurry. Right up, right up, right up. Hard, hard, hard. Go, Gina, right out. Ah, shot.
Saskatchewan.
No.
Not sitting too badly here, Linda.
But with that redstone that was shot rock
Nice and tight,
going
though,
along
Kristen.
with that last hit, now there's a little bit of an advantage for Saskatchewan. They can protect a little bit if they want. That means that the red-yellow combination would not be easy for BC. You'd be making a double raise to get at that shot rock.
What is it?
Saskatchewan
What is
is
it?
1 down with the hammer.
Okay, just let it. Just clean it. No, no, just where it stops. Just where it stops. Sit. Okay. Do you think just the top one or try to clip that? Feel it? We can.
No
We
problem
just
with
wanna
the
hit
time
that
at the
pretty
moment,
thin,
but you
though.
can see that it's going to get a little complicated in this end.
Sure. Heel. Clean. Whoa, let it curl. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Go, Sash. You're going, though. Shot.
Saskatchewan is lying 1. It's the Yellowstone edge of the 4-foot. Saskatchewan has the hammer, trailing by 1. Once again, it is all day Sandra Schmirler Telethon Day. There's the number to call in support of neonatal care. Now, here's this. These guys don't even want to lose off the ice. I told you about Randy Furby wanting to donate $1 for every point scored this week. Well, Jeff Stoughton, Manitoba champion, has called to say he'll match whatever that is, plus $1. Just to beat him.
And he wants me to keep the score, right?
Yeah.
Attaboy, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, thanks very much,
That's
Randy.
great.
Thanks, fellas.
And that number will be on all day.
Not too competitive, are they?
No.
That rock, yeah, that rock just didn't get over enough for her. This gives Kelly a chance here to get through now to the to her own stone, which is frozen to the Saskatchewan stone, which they were trying to keep that situation protected because it was a good one for them. They're looking for the 2 points to try and win this game. Saskatchewan with the hammer. 1 down.
Clean, yeah. Clean, yeah. Hard.
Gina Schrader.
Hard, right to it,
Simons,
right to it.
Carter on the brush. Get it by through the hole.
Lovely shot.
What a terrific shot.
That missed guard made the big difference there.
The only problem, it was a lovely shot and they had to make a play in it, but it did bounce everything out into the open and leave chances now behind the guard. Good contact, but you can see the rocks are rolling. That does free up the house a little bit for Saskatchewan.
And the stones are out in front still, so you can certainly generate your 2. She'll ignore those stones on the side and come around the guard.
Line's tight. Where's the weight? Close.
Back 8, back 12, and slides too far. So shot stone is still BC.
Yeah, that's a tough miss. That was a good chance to get that into the top 8 foot behind that guard and really present a problem for BC. Now a chance for Kelly Scott to get it
there just because I
around the
thought if we
guard,
even half
top of the
showed it,
4
it would
foot.
be tougher for her to get out. But
We're just taking time, and I just didn't take my time.
yeah.
That's enough ice, Gina.
Little bit of interesting point there. You could hear in the background the Saskatchewan third Roz talking about the fact she felt a little rush because of the time clock. Remember, the Saskatchewan team first time at a Scott Tournament of Hearts, little things that you're not really used to. I'm sure she'll be fine the rest of the week, but it just tiny little things that Kelly Scott doesn't really have to deal with because of her little bit of extra experience.
Room. Yep. Room. On its own if you can. Room. Higher's better. Just bite top 4.
Yeah, you don't want to be too.
Lots of line.
Don't want to be deep here.
Lots of line. Higher's better. Sit.
Ooh, just a little deep, Linda.
So where do you go now if you're
Right on the
Tracy Streifel? Right up on top?
Yeah, right on the face of it.
Shoot. 14-2.
Just slid a little too far. Certainly had the path. The line was perfect.
It's lots of nice curl there.
Bend in there.
Kelly hasn't had a lot of draws in this game, so just a pound too much weight.
And we talk about experience, Tracy, nice numbers, 88% so far, but this is the point of the game. You really do have to control those emotions because if it is fast, you have to make sure you don't drive out too hard.
Got a lot of weight. Or looks like a lot of weight at this point.
Nothing at all from Riddles or Verdoulier. And you're right.
You don't see that very often. She throws with a glove on. You don't see that much anymore. At one time we used to see a lot of that, of course.
Well, yeah. Just around again. Just more so a sweeping weight, eh? Okay. Same turn.
BC taking another timeout. 73 minutes playing time plus 2 1-minute timeouts. That's what's given to each team.
Another one in there.
And debate about that too, whether in fact that's too much. Could they get away with less? And there you see the time remaining for both teams.
Like this one, if we're light, she's got to try to get in for 1. Do you think she has a shot for 2 off that?
It's tough.
Tough.
We can come inside the top 8.
Bite top 4 at most.
I think we want to be second shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a great discussion. You heard exactly what they're going to do.
Throw it to you guys. I asked for a bit more.
Live look at the game between Ontario and the team from the Yukon Northwest Territories.
That kept going.
Ontario is lying shot. That's the red stone, top edge of the 4. And so now this is a draw to force an extra end for
Carrie Cooey. Oh, pardon me, it's Monique Gagné who throws. Oh, there they go. They're doing the Furby thing. Monique Gagné throws the fourth stone, and Carrie Cooey holds the brush. So it's Monique Gagné looking to draw for the single point to force an extra as
Line's getting good. Lots
Kelly
of line.
Scott throws her
Where, guys?
stone.
Whoa, line. Lots of line. Line's fine. Yep. Yes. Where is it? Are you to the yellow? Hard.
What a nice shot. Monique Gagné. They're going to go one more.
Well, the BC stone didn't curl as much as they wanted. They're now going to have a look to see if they can get to that red stone. There is a long guard.
They are. I think.
Well, she's looking hard at playing the out turn through the hole.
Yeah.
Just touch it back. The Yellowstone is second shot.
We just got to figure out the ice here for this one.
Well, we got to make sure. Like, do you just
Now,
wanna play
in fairness
draw,
to
or do you
Kelly
wanna play
Scott,
a
it
bit
just
away
didn't
swing
break like the
before
last one. She
bump
did
it?
take more ice. She
Okay,
talked
almost like
about that. They thought this would curl a little bit more. So it does leave the out turn, which is not easy, through
Well,
the hole.
I think this might hang out here too with any weight. Let me look from up here.
You see the long, guards.
Here.
Get through that hole.
Do you think that there's any way we'd get to the nose to bump it back for two?
She'd get to the nose and just touch it back.
I think so.
So there's the comment. She doesn't think she can get to the nose of the back stone to punch it back for two, and she may be right. So she's actually just drawing for the one.
Andrea.
They could sweep
ice
it.
to come around here. Is that enough?
Looks to me like you might be able to get to the nose of that, Linda.
Yeah, it's
Just
a very
with
long
back 4 foot
guard.
weight. I mean, I realize that.
Looks like if you just got by that guard, it
Yeah.
would continue to curl onto the shot stone.
One of these shots that if it is curling for you, you get by the guard, you could bring it hard all the way. Paul Trolson remembers a shot like this that Randy Furby made against him at the World Championship one year for two.
Final stone for Saskatchewan's Tracy Streifel out of the granite in Saskatoon.
Starting to go now, starting to curl a bit.
Kristen Riddles, Andrea Udale have picked it up now. Maybe they can get to the face of this. Maybe they can get to the corner of it. They'll rub it and rub it and roll and get there for the one. That's the rub of the Saskatchewan green to tie it 5-5.
The 2006 Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN is brought to you by Cashmere. Now Cottonelle has an even softer name, Cashmere. The 2006 Scott Tournament of Hearts on TSN is brought to you in part by Ford, built for life in Canada. By M&M Meat Shops, hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. And by Tim Hortons Chicken Noodle Soup and Turkey Bacon Club Combo.
Well, she made the shot. Don't know if she expected to make the shot. Did it grab? Did it pick? Did it just curl hard? The final stone of Tracy Streifel.
Well, it looked to me there was enough room to come back with just back 4 foot and maybe get two. As this rock comes across the hog line, you can see that it seems to have lots of room to get off it, and then all of a sudden, it kind of moves quickly on right there. And they just get by the top, and then it really starts to go, and it moves big time, so they rub the front end to go for the one. So it looked a little bit like they might be able to get to the face of that, that stone.
I think so. I think it might have caught something, but even if it hadn't, I think the path was such that it had some curl.
So BC playing the Redstones has the hammer in this extra of a 5-5 tie.
In a game in which the hammer has been all important.
What do you
Trading
got?
points back and forth.
Got a bend.
And a nice come around so far by BC. Centerline guard, of course, went up by Saskatchewan, and then Renee played the come around.
No, never. No.
Well, you wanted to angle onto it. Even short would have been fine as far as I'm concerned.
9-8.
A lot of teams might have played a guard in that position.
Play the second one out. They can't peel it.
If not, you need to dead bury behind your own yellow, not allow any sort of action on a hit like they're about to play here.
Whoa, close. Whoa, whoa, off. Yeah, hard, 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 right up. Whoa, whoa. Touch it.
And it will roll out the other side. Linda, in terms of strategy, would you ever play your first stone? I'm thinking of Saskatchewan without the hammer here. Would you ever play the stone to the corner and put up a guard covering the 8, or do you always go to the middle?
Or just do this.
The reason you put up center guards, Vic, when you don't have the hammer is you assume that the opposition can make a shot to the 4-foot, definitely to the 8-foot. So you want to close down the scoring area for your opponent, make it as hard as possible for them to get to that button.
So the answer is no.
So back 8? Pardon?
You know, it's interesting that sometimes when you get to the part of the end, Vic, where people are peeling off those guards, where they're allowed to start to do that, you will see people move that guard around a little bit and maybe find a trickier piece of ice, hoping for a mistake. Now we talk about timing, when to set up a stone, when to move it up, when to try and get into scoring position. This is still a setup shot for Saskatchewan.
Push! Hurry! Push!
Well, you know Kelly Scott's going to go up and do something with that front, run it off. This is that's the best thing that could have happened for Kelly Scott.
I'm not sure about the call. I'm not sure if they were trying to tap back. As I said, at that point, you needed still to be just playing a freeze or something in front of those red stones.
You are right, though, and we've talked about that before, that it's a 4-rock rule, that sometimes the free guard zone still isn't used enough, is it?
Well, people also worry about double peels later in the end, but quite often there is a good chance for a couple of guards, Vic, and they're not made.
Over, right out.
Nice peel.
Good job. Nice shot.
That's why throwing that second one short I like when you're still in the position where they can't peel it off, or they can try a tick or something. But
you guys like this?
now Kelly Scott's got the game where she wants it, in the rings, and nothing in front.
Yeah, I think you need to be playing guards here. I would have been playing the 2 guards first, as we just talked about. And especially when their first guard was fairly close to the rings. That meant you could have spread them out a little bit. But you have to take a chance now. You have to put some guards out in front. Hope for a mistake on a peel.
Well,
maybe get
right here, tight then.
Stick.
Okay.
She's playing out in front.
Line's tight. Yep, every bit. Every bit. Yep.
Medalier and Tanner with the brush. Just a reminder, Sports Center is coming up here on TSN on the second last day of Olympic coverage. Speed skating, short track, men's 4-man bobsled. Corey Warren will update you on all that. Sports Center is coming right up.
Whoa. Clean. Clean. Yep, we're good. Nice shot.
Good throw.
So you keep putting them up here. Is that Saskatchewan's strategy?
Yeah, the very difficult part of this for Saskatchewan is not only did that first red stone, the first come around for BC, get into a good spot, Saskatchewan's attempt to freeze wasn't made, and then the second red got into position.
Where are we now? 4?
You're now, Vic, having to
right
deal with,
here then.
not only do you have to get a guard up,
If you're there.
and now you have to
Are
beat
you?
out 2 rocks,
Okay,
both
leave it.
in front of the tee
Whoa,
line.
just leave
So
it in the
it's
center.
not a great position
Looks
for
like it's coming
Saskatchewan. They
in.
need a mistake.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was called, this one was called out in front, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. She wanted it tight, but she wanted it in front, hoping it maybe trying to peel, I might jam it onto the 2 red ones in the front in
Want
the
to try
rings.
to kind of roll over top a bit? 8.5.
Gina Schrader.
Clean. Yep. Clean. Clean only. Yep. Clean. 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 Okay, we're doing something over here. Good shot.
When do you come in and play down to those stones? Or do you?
Oh yeah, you do. You can actually, if you freeze one right in the crotch of those 2 right now, it may be a little early to do that. As far as I'm concerned, I would play another rock out front.
Do you want to come in and tap it a bit?
Don't even need to tap it.
What if you came into here? Pardon? Right to here there? Okay.
So she's going to come in there now. I mean, if you get a rock into the crotch of those 2, then it'll present a problem for BC.
What is it? Or way out? Yep. Freeze. Mr. Freeze. Just onto it. Make sure it's just here. No bounce. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Nice little shot.
Okay, good shot.
Yeah, Kelly's got to deal with it.
7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's when we're back with you, Janet Harvey, Jennifer Jones. Team Canada, Manitoba, but really it's all Manitoba, it's all Winnipeg for the second draw of this Scott Tournament of Hearts later this evening.
I could cheer for the Bisons in that
Yeah,
game.
as soon as possible.
You can't go wrong.
If we kill that, that's all right.
You just didn't want this separation, as Linda mentioned. You didn't want to bounce
Do you want? We can. Sure. Yeah.
You do get one more timeout in your extra end, and they're going to call it now.
This is a good rock. What if we go right in front of that, though? Yeah. Okay.
You got to deal with that. I wouldn't be throwing any guard up.
If you think it through, if you guard, there is a double there on the 2 BC stones. You're now putting up a guard that's going to protect what will become an opposition shot stone. There's no way I'd be guarding.
No way is
If you lose one of yours, you lose one of yours. You've got to keep the house open. And you have to love Jerry because he's so calm, just saying, I think I like anything peeling the rock out, not never play a guard.
You knew for a fact that Jerry wasn't going to be, as much as Kelly liked that shot rock in there, there's no way you're guarding it.
No way.
I'm right behind that sheet. Directly behind the sheet, and she threw that pretty close to the roof.
Yeah, she threw
That's
with a
one of
lot
those cases we
rotation.
talked. That's what we talked about when the upweight shots about the ice reading. Remember the first couple ends?
Well, over here, because I wouldn't have anything. Well, be skinnier. What about tapping that a bit? Getting it into a bit better position. Thing is, if I just sit here, she's got a double. She's just going to double them.
Exactly.
Well, this one's going to go too, I guess. Well, I like the tap. Which do you prefer?
The applause is for Ontario in an extra end as Carrie Cooey with Monique Gagne throwing the fourth stone from the Yellowknife Curling Club. Missed her last draw facing 4. Ontario wins it 13-9. Krista Sharp from Thunder Bay.
You don't suppose that Randy Furby, they knew that Randy Furby had bet $1 per point? That they were
Way to go, boys. Reach deep.
I think I need less ice, hey?
Jeff Stout, $2 per point?
No. That's only if you help him.
Yeah, T-line, just to bump it right onto the face of the other one.
She's going to tap it back, I think is what they've decided. Just tap it back to the face of the one that sits on the button.
The main thing is to try and get the yellows fairly one in front of the other, or a yellow glued onto the red so you don't set up a double.
Yes! Hurry! Hard! Hurry!
That's a very nice shot. Fly shot stone.
It is, Vic, but I don't think you want to move the red quite so much.
Why, just the separation to get the
well,
shot stone out, you mean?
Yeah, you just wanted to, I would have liked to just be almost like frozen on it. Tapped it back so you're frozen. Because, because you have one more shot to come. You would have really, Kelly would have had to really make a decision. Do I guard? Maybe if she guarded, you may be able to come off of something on the side.
Now she's looking at what, Linda? Double here, run back?
BC's going to play the double. Now, Tracy in reverse as she looks through this. If BC makes a shot, she does have an opportunity to play close to a BC stone, that one at the back of the 4, and still can hope for a mistake. But she would have liked the rock to be a little closer together in that button area.
Just wanted to move it just to the face of it. That's what she said when she went down. I just want to tap it back so I'm on the face of it.
So this shot, that shot may have been good with her last one. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if the situation's set up the same way.
She's going to catch it. She does.
Lovely shot.
Wow. Just got enough going across the face.
Well, we saw Kelly in Halifax. She's a cool customer because she was the most consistent and best team there all week.
All right.
And heartbreaking loss, of course, as we know, to Shannon Clybrink, but
it just wasn't coming up.
she's a cool customer.
You can see how much difficulty they've had, though, on that hit. That was a great shot, but that's 2 hits in a row where the rock ran very straight. So if you're Saskatchewan, you would love to get this close to being glued and see what Kelly did with it.
I was just going to ask you that. Do you want to come down on the face and leave her a draw to your backing, or would you like to, in fact, cover the pin
Looks like
and make her tap you back?
Don't want too much separation, Vic, because then Kelly Scott can just pick it out, having the other rocks in the rings that would then count.
A little less.
I have to like the way Saskatchewan, although they got off to a poor start this in with the guard scenario, has tried to move rocks around to have a chance with this one to at least make it tough for BC.
Whoa!
Riddle's on the left.
Whoa!
Ridelier on the right, trying to take it down and put it right on the face.
Doesn't get any better than that for the freeze. Kelly has to draw here.
That was a lovely throw, and it was a great line call because they had to brush it when it looked like it was way out there to get it to cross at the end and sit right on the face.
Make a really good point, Linda, because Rods was calling for the line and she was being insistent about it, and the skip, Tracy, was saying no, no, but you've got to listen to that holder of the broom. And then there was some communication between the front end and the third on the weight. So absolutely a good call by your third. Best she could do. Force Kelly Scott to draw full to the button to win this game.
Well, like I was calling.
No, this had to be.
Well,
but too bad both
button,
rocks
maybe she
weren't.
would've hit, you know, if the
Yeah,
stop button.
I think we had to.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have this.
Hey, you can't be any better. I mean,
no, it's not.
All you can do is.
Final stone, 5-5. BC, Saskatchewan. Kelly Scott from Kelowna.
No backing. No backing. Well, let it bend. Let it bend.
Renee Simons. Sasha Carter. Nothing from them.
It's just too much weight, that's all.
Nothing at all.
See, it's...
And all the way through. And Saskatchewan and Tracy Streifel from the Granite in Saskatoon will steal one here in this opening draw. 6-5 the final. And Saskatchewan will move on now and play New Brunswick this evening. BC will play Prince Edward Island. That's when we join you tonight, where our featured game will be Team Canada. Jennifer Jones against Manitoba and Janet Harvey. Thanks for joining us on this opening day, the Scott Tournament of Hearts from London on Canada's sports leader, TSN.